Ow! I undid my headphones by mistake. It happens. Porchville, what's happening? We are back. PorchvillePod.com. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over those places. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, look us up, Porchville. We're the only one. And hit that subscribe button. And I gotta say, a big thank you to all the recent subscribers. Numbers are up. Numbers are way up. So I think we're in the thousands at this point.
Yeah, it's insane.
You were fine a second ago. Look at how do you do that from 1 second to the next? Look at you.
What did I do?
You're talking into the side of it.
There you go. About now?
Nope.
No.
There you go. In the front. That's how it works.
Someday I'll figure this out.
I don't think so.
I'll figure it out someday.
We'll see. So anyway,
Are we still doing a test run?
No, this is not the test run. We did the test run earlier. This is the show. This is episode 37. Are you here with me? Let's bring it over to hellfireradio.com. We are back on hellfireradio.com. Tuesday nights, 10 o'clock. That's where you'll find us back. And one of the people over there at hellfireradio.com, excuse me, Kinko, he's been on a few of the craft beer shows and is just a featured regular. He's laid up right now, man. He's in the hospital. He's on a ventilator. So if you can, get over to hellfireradio.com, show them some love, buy a T-shirt. Kinko Strong. He's got his mug right there on the front of it. So hit them up and do that, and you will definitely be helping out a good cause.
So that sounds really cool.
Yeah. So hopefully he's all right, but we'll keep him in our thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And tonight, here in Porchville with us, the good folks of Purple Nightshade Productions. Did I get all that? Purple Nightshade Productions.
Very good.
Della-Kate Flower.
Hello.
And Freddy Vulgar.
Hello.
How are you all doing today?
We are great. We're very excited because a thunderstorm has happened, and every time we fucking go somewhere to do something,
so you guys are the reason.
The skies open. Yeah,
this
like
is
literally almost every show, every podcast, there's some dynamic weather change. I'm just like, listen, you invite the creeps in, this is what you get.
Well, this is a perfect matchup then, because it also has rained here every fucking Porchville night for the past month?
Yeah, past couple months. Yeah.
What can I say? It's that witchy shit, man.
There it is.
That's what we bring.
There it is.
It was even like Tim Martin was over here, and it was raining on him.
Yeah. So
he was sitting right where Freddy's sitting, and it was just raining.
I had to shut it down because the guy was getting soaked, and he was like, "No, I'm okay." I'm like, "Oh,
yeah." He's like, "No, I'm fine.
He's gonna have to swim out of there in a minute." But, whatever. So,
well, if an octopus comes up out of your pool and it's like, "Yo," that is the time to cut the mics off.
It is salt water, so
we're not
gonna rule it out. I had to jump in though.
It is Florida.
Hot. It was so hot. I had to jump in right before the show.
He looked really nice in his towel. I don't know if you guys saw it. I think he did.
I don't think
I answered the door in the towel. Well, I had pants on. Man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you still look nice on the towel.
But you know what? Listen, it's okay because we're a burlesque and sideshow production company, so we're so used to naked at this point. He could have opened the door naked. I've been like, nice.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me now. Be careful what you wish for, because crazier things have happened.
Don't threaten him with a good time.
Listen, you haven't been to a Waffle House at 2 a.m. with the burlesque crowd. Yeah. Okay. That's our norm. That's our environment.
Call me next time. I'll give you my number. We're always fucking here.
It'll be you in the beard and the backwards baseball hat with a bunch of drag queens and burlesque people in lashes out to here and 4 tons of makeup, screaming about waffles and bacon, and oh my god, we're so drunk right now.
I love it already.
Yeah.
Call me. Fucking A. I'll be there. Serious. I shit you not.
I don't think I own enough leather.
Oh no, that's
a whole nother podcast. Don't even listen. Freddy's been in the middle of it before, and he kind of sits in the middle, and he looks just like this when we go do that at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. And he just looks around and goes, "What is my life again? What did I sign on for?"
If you've ever tried to wrangle kittens in the middle of like a rainstorm when they're already trying to escape you, and then there's water involved.
I wrangled a kitten once, and there was no rain, but he did go 25 feet up into a tree, and I got a ladder and I went up the tree, and he jumped straight down.
Of course they do.
Straight down, took off.
They're like, "Nah, fuck what you want."
And now he's inside. He's my best friend.
By the way, before we continue on with this wonderful program, I have a complete trash mouth. So you will be hearing a lot of cursing and obscene things come out.
Good.
Okay, I'm just making sure every podcast is different.
Just so the good people of Porchville understand, what you were going to hear is nothing out of the ordinary. Just another day in Porchville.
No, perfect.
So
all right, well, fucking A, let's go.
Yeah. Fuck it, let's just do it.
Fuck this.
So tell me what you guys do now. Like a month ago now, we had Phoenix Midnight on with Mr.
Gorgeous
Biddle.
Phoenix Midnight.
She was amazing.
She is amazing.
She's one of my favorite guests, hands down.
Oh yeah.
She's just really, really fun to talk to, really easy to go and really just got a cool story.
Oh yeah.
Know? But so
I work with her a lot. I totally know. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Purple Nightshade Productions, for those of you who don't know or actually should fucking know because we're amazing. I can't say that enough. We do burlesque and sideshow horror-based performance, like creepy, weirdo shit.
Yeah.
And Phoenix has performed for us a couple of times. And, like, there was one performance she did, Akasha, the vampire queen from the vampire movies, and ripped a heart out on stage from a willing victim, quotes around it, who was a friend of ours, and ate it, and everyone was like, they were throwing money on the stage.
What kind of a heart was this?
This was an actual,
Was this a real heart?
No, I wish.
Because that'd be pretty fucking
yeah, I was like, are you kidding? I would pay her so much money if she would do that. I'd pay her more money than I pay her now. But no, she actually made a really good looking gelatin heart.
Yeah.
That actually did look like a heart. Like from far away, it looked like a heart. So when she squished it, and it went everywhere, and everyone's like, "Ew!" But then they were like, "Yes, bring that over here."
Now I'm just thinking.
Nipples, yes.
I'm just thinking that Biddle would be like a perfect guy for that because he's got the hole in the chest.
He's been on stage.
So it'd be very. Convincing.
If he ever joins her for one of her horror performances for our company, then he'll probably be up there doing all kinds of what the fuck shit.
I'm looking forward to the next time you guys do burlesque because now that I know about it, you guys are on the radar.
Listen,
I want to be there. I want to see the next one.
We've both been creeps for a while. Like get gross. When I first started, the company's about 3 years old, and it's still kind of in its infancy.
Right.
But when I started, we were together because we're not only business partners, but we're romantic partners as well, which let me tell you, that makes for an interesting day.
Why is that? Why does it make for an interesting day?
Because, you want to tell them?
I mean, it depends on which day we're talking about. A show day is a whole different story. From
What's a show day?
Show day starts usually coffee for her 3 hours before I wake up, and then me waking up to the explosion of now 3 cups of coffee and, hey, by the way, this performer's having car issues. This performer's doing this. This performer's doing that. The venue just told us this. I don't know what's going on. And then on top of that all, bills.
So
and
usually,
showtime.
Yeah, and he could tell you, like, I'm calm as a summer day, like a summer day at the beach. Like, everything is chill until about 2 hours before showtime. And then I start losing it because I just want to make sure everything works and people show up and performers are amazing. And he is all like, blah, 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 before showtime. And then when showtime comes, Freddy's just like, babe, we're fine.
This
You're
is
fine.
outstanding.
You want a drink? Let me get you a drink.
The funny part about this is for a couple hours before we do a show, like I spend all week. I've been looking forward to this all week. I've been excited about it. And then today comes around a couple hours before, and it's like, all right, I got to do this, and this, and this, and this, and a million different things, and I'm trying to race around and do them all. And it's stressful, and it's nerve wracking because I've fucked up enough of these, on the recording side that I hate doing that. So I really take a lot of care to make sure it's done properly.
Yeah, but
you
could
stress.
You did hit the record button.
This fucking guy comes over, and he's just jawing my ear off. And then the show starts, and he's like, crickets. So you guys got a lot in common. It looks like you and I are going to be pals.
Listen, I've always been the front man for the company, meaning that I am also a performer.
Yeah.
So I do go out and do the naked things.
Yeah.
But I also host. I do all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're at a show, I'm usually in platform shoes that make me about 6'4".
Nice. I need a pair of those.
Ooh, eBay. So yeah, I'm in platform shoes and a big ass wig. It's what I call high holy drag, like lashes out to here and all like whatever sexy creepy shit I have on for the day or the night. And he's in Joe regular clothes, being all quiet and shit, and I'm over there, popping off and doing all what I'm going to do, but I don't get to press delete and start over.
Right. Yeah.
Like when the minute it happens, and whatever the fuck happens is whatever the fuck happens.
You just gotta let it ride after that.
Yeah. So that's why he's usually kind of lurking in the background, literally like a shadow, just like, okay, let me just handle this. Like go over here.
So is that kind of your role? You sort of play tech support. Throughout it.
The background.
Do you do any performing at all?
Not really. No. Like
I've tried.
If somebody needed,
I've tried.
If somebody needed stage help, sure, but for the most part, no.
Yeah.
It's much easier just to sit back and go, cool. There's an issue while she's doing something else. I'll deal with it.
Right.
The venue needs something. I can do that. Not a problem at all. And the secret to keeping calm the whole day is Irish coffee and old fashions.
I
if
like
they're
this.
in a cup, nobody knows what's going on, and you're good to go.
Here, my friend. Oh yes.
That's what he'll do. He'll literally. I have a coffee tumbler that Phoenix Midnight actually made for me, which was really awesome. And on one side it says Della-Kate flower, and the other side is a skeletal version of the Starbucks mermaid.
Nice.
It's pretty badass.
That sounds kind of sexy. I dig it.
It's very hot. She makes them, so you should hit her up. But Freddy will put the old fashioned or the whatever in there and just give it to me and says, drink this.
So you're talking about like drinking an old fashioned. Where are you from?
I am from Gainesville, actually.
You are from
Born and
Gainesville?
raised,
Born and raised in Gainesville.
Wow.
Farthest I've gotten away from it is Fairbanks.
Yeah. Wait.
So
Fair.
it's not far.
Alaska?
No. No.
Is there a Fairbanks in Florida? I have no idea.
There's a one red light town with really tiny quotation marks around it between here and Waldo.
I was going to say when he was like, the furthest I've been is Fairbanks. I'm like, well, that's on the other side of the country. So, I mean, that counts.
Yeah,
that definitely
we would kill in Fairbanks. It's like 6 months a night over there. It'd be like, yes, 24/7 shows.
I hear that shit's hard to do though. Like long
there
term.
is an actual psychological madness associated with it. There's actually a clinical term for when people go crazy because it's 6 months of daylight and 6 months of night.
I had a friend who was stationed there when he was in the Army 20 years ago, and he said that you had to have these really, really heavy, thick blackout curtains.
Yes.
And, they were basically essential to keep your sanity.
Yeah.
Because as there are times when it's 6 months of darkness, there's times when it's months of sunrise
but
sunlight.
The population in Alaska is such to where there's 4 guys for every woman.
Well, I guess for the right
so
woman,
it evens out.
For the right woman, that's a good time, though.
It's like 6
yeah. To be a woman in Alaska, that seems like the right place to be.
I mean, come on now.
For guys, though, it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, whose turn is it today? Is it Thursday? Maury, it's you.
I don't know if it's days. I think at that point it's an hour rotation. It's like, cool. If there's 4 to 1. You just break it up by 6-hour markers, and everybody knows when they can sleep. Somebody's got to work. Snacks.
Bring drinks. BYOB.
Yeah, bring some Chex Mix or something.
BYOC. Bring your own condom.
Just grab a Red Bull and a condom. You're ready to go.
This is the moment where he realizes, who did I bring on the show?
I'm just saying, I'm ready to go to Fairbanks. Let's do this.
I'm ready to move to Alaska.
I've actually been talking about Alaska. I watch these shows. There's one that's called Alone, where these people just go out to these remote locations and they just have to survive for as long as they can. That sounds like
Naked and Afraid. You've seen that show, Naked and Afraid?
Kinda, but
I can't watch. Even for a horror person, I can't watch that show for more than 10 minutes. I'm like, the bug bites in places that you should never have bugs.
And they put those people in like deserts and shit, like
and jungles,
snakes
and all
what
that.
What the fuck am I gonna do with a mountain lion nude? Like. I'm gonna wave it around at him. That's
Lord.
Jesus.
You're just hoping that the helicopter works both ways.
Exactly.
Mechanical.
Exactly. but
I mean,
yeah.
I've done it once before, and it wasn't that fun.
What? The
It-
mountain lion?
Yeah, be naked
Flashed
with the mountain lion.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody would do it, it wouldn't surprise in Wisconsin.
I mean, do we need to fix your social life? Like, what's going on with that? Naked with a mountain lion.
I'm kind of weird.
You're kind of weird.
Yeah.
Look at who you're talking
a
to.
smidge. A smidge.
If I told you guys some of the acts we've had on stage, you'd be like,
Tell me
"What
about
is?"
it. Tell me
Okay.
about it. What's the craziest?
We've had
Let's
acts.
go. What's the
Listen,
craziest?
The craziest. Wow. We've had acts with trigger warnings. Let's put it that way. Like, where the host actually has to say, if you are bothered by the following things, A, B, C, D, and E, we're
Like
going to take
what?
2 minutes
What
for you to
would-
leave.
What would people be?
Some
trigger
people,
warnings
yeah,
be?
some people are triggered by any acts of homicide or murder. Like if something looks like they're being killed on stage in any kind of way, they freak out.
I know it's pretend though.
Like eating somebody's heart.
I understand,
That's-
but I would like our
that's
audience.
Plausible.
I would like to have our audience come back.
Right.
And so some of that is just being honestly polite enough to the audience to be like, listen, if this freaks you out, it's cool. Go get a drink or something, and then it's like 2 minutes or 3 minutes on stage, and then it's over, and you come back.
Right.
You know, and we have had return audiences because we actually give a shit enough to say that.
That makes sense.
There's been one or two times we have forgotten, and trust me, the blowback was pretty
Really?
intense. Yeah.
Really?
Even from some performers who were in the audience at the time who actually bothered to pull me aside because they caught me before they caught Freddy and were like, look, we know that you like to push the envelope. This is what you do. We get it. You know, gross glamour, sexy people doing weird shit on stage, and people will still want to throw money at them. Yes.
Right.
But this kind of thing is very psychologically triggering for some folks. So could you not?
Right.
Or at least warn us before you do this.
And I would.
But to be honest, I'll be real honest. It's kind of like slapping an NC-17 rating on a movie. Like the minute you say this act has a trigger warning, the whole audience is like, really?
So
What's
it's got to
up?
hype up the the
they're
intrigue.
Like, what are you gonna do? Like that, it just becomes that. So I don't mind doing that as a courtesy,
Right.
but I also don't mind doing it because it does. You know, you were just like, tell me about gross. I'm like, oh baby, what you want?
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
What you want? Mama got gross for you. Okay. The craziest. I'm kind of torn between 3 acts, and help me out, Freddy, if I'm forgetting one. Jenny's Children of the Corn act from Summer of Slaughter.
We got enough blowback from that. That almost qualifies.
Jesus
right there.
Christ. Yeah, that was like, woo, so many emails to our company about that act. Then there was Jaden's revenge divorce act that he did. Where
the divorce revenge act.
I'll tell you, well.
That sounds interesting.
It was okay.
Okay.
Look, trust me, people actually stood up and like walked out to get a drink at the bar because they were just like, I can't handle this right now. And I was like, yes, come back and more money. And then the third one I can think about is the one that Michaela Demure did at our anniversary show, the Repo one.
I think Repo qualifies for the goriest that we've had on stage.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think the craziest reaction-wise from audience and cast members alike would have been Children of the Corn from Jenny Castle, simply because apparently nobody watched that movie or
Children of the
remembers
Corn?
it. Yeah. You
They
realize how
made
many
a
people
remake
emailed
of
us?
that too.
Yeah, they did.
And
And
the
they're
number-
remaking all the horror movies,
Of
so
course.
why the hell not?
The number of people emailing us are like, why would you burn a cross on stage? Like, why would you light that on fire? And it's like, have you not ever seen this?
Yeah,
I
she
can see why that would be.
She killed, quotes around it, one of our hosts in the way that the
Right.
characters in the movie died, which was tied him to a cross and lit it on fire.
He
now,
who hides behind Malachi. That
exactly.
guy was fucking creepy.
she dressed
Malachi,
as,
you remember
she
Children of
dressed
the
as
Corn?
Malachi as
Yeah.
the act. Part of the act
The
was she
ginger?
dressed as Malachi and did this whole
I
thing.
don't think so.
He wasn't a ginger.
I don't think so.
No, the ginger was. No, actually, wait. No, the ginger was Malachi.
Was it?
And because remember that when the whatever the hell this kid's name is gets possessed by he who walks behind the rose,
but
he's
I
like,
bet it was
he
like
comes for you, Malachi.
Ezekiel or
I don't know,
Something
some
like that.
Jebediah. That
horror
sounds-
movies tend to blend together. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh look, knives, blood, organs, okay.
Mhm.
Matt.
But
You ready? Are you ready?
Am I ready?
Are you ready?
so which one? There's 3 of them, or do you want to hear about all 3?
All 3.
I think so. His question was the goriest, and that would definitely be
Michaela's, yeah.
Repo, where we had someone get gutted on stage.
Okay. Now,
Or-
now tell me how this works. Like, so you're gutting somebody on stage. Like, how do you sell that?
Do you want to handle that?
Well,
So,
I mean,
I
have
think
you ever
that's a starting
gutted
question.
somebody on stage?
Just the one.
Like, that's how you sell it.
Just-
Just gut somebody on stage.
People,
There doesn't have
yeah.
to be a warning. It's just like, hey, by the way, you'll either pick up on this or you won't. If you don't
Yeah.
see it coming,
Right.
I don't know how to explain it to you. So the biggest thing is if anybody has actually seen Repo, either the not so great remade, what was it, 2010 or 2011 film, I think. But this
Repo?
was based around the original, what was a musical.
Repo, the
Genetic
rock
opera.
musical. At,
Repo the Genetic Opera. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
With
was amazing.
John. What?
He amazes me with the stuff that he comes up with sometimes.
This is definitely one of those terrible with names moments.
He was the dad in Third Rock from the Sun.
John Lithgow.
John Lithgow.
Yep.
Yeah. He was in there.
You've seen this
Yeah,
movie?
this is
Yeah.
also a film
I
where
love
one of the
you.
most.
I love you so much, Matt.
The,
Fucking, I'm serious. It amazes me.
I'm,
the random
I'm
facts,
a
they work out.
plethora of just stupid information.
And if you're looking for the gross, he was already there. The second it was Repo, it's like, cool. Now I kind of know where we're going. The movie is very well known for a few of the songs, but also for the fact that at one point in the movie, Paris Hilton's face falls off during one of
What?
the musical acts. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
that doesn't make you want to watch it alone,
Oh my god.
It's fabulous.
it is an amazing show. And as
No,
far
it's
as
actually absolutely horrible.
Wait, the movie or the musical? Or
And
what?
the
the
best
All of
movie,
it.
the
All
musical
of it.
was great. The
way.
movie and
Oh, really?
In the best fucking ways and horrible.
Yeah. It's one of those things like where after you see the credits roll and you just like sit there and just think like, what the fuck did I just see?
Those are kind of fun.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Those are kind of fun.
it's also the worst because if you're watching the credits and then you realize I definitely got an organ transplant. Did I read that fine print? Shit. Because you realize that could be your life, and that's not too far off from what we're at this point.
Yeah, so Lady Michaela Demure is a performer here in Florida,
Right.
and she is a big Repo fan. So, and she was also part of our very first show 3 years ago. So with that anniversary show, we kind of tried to bring back a lot of the original cast to kind of replay that show, which was a lot of fun. So with Michaela's act, she played. What is my brain is. I have quarantine brain. So if I'm like dropping information, that's why.
Don't
I
worry.
cannot remember the character himself's name. However, she was the primary character. The father was the character she was portraying. Was actually one of the Repo men.
in the Repo movie.
Right,
Yeah,
and so
in the
what she did
musical.
what she did on stage was she actually dressed as this repossessor, as a very particular costume from the film, and pulled organs out of a volunteer, who like pulled entrails and intestines and a heart and a lung and like all this just gross, nasty, bloody shit out of this person on stage, and then proceeded to strip out of her costume, and her underthings were actually made from silicone blood drips, so it looked cool. And she's covered in this fake blood and these organs, and she started shimmering with the fucking intestines, and it was amazing. I was screaming, laughing backstage, and the front row audience, there's always a risk if you sit in the front row at one of our shows. There's always a risk. It's like, if you're in the front row, please don't be wearing anything you give a shit about.
And if you are, understand this is why we call it the splash zone. You
Right.
paid for this ticket, so we know that you accepted the risk. We will not replace your clothing.
Was it just
That
like
is-
fake blood or whatever?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
she uses fake blood.
No, there's more?
It could be fake blood. It could be alcohol. We definitely had one of our performers, I think 2 years
Slime.
ago. There
Slime
was
is big.
slime. There was, I do believe it was a Jeffrey Dahmer act in which.
Buckets of blood. Yes.
Yeah, buckets of blood and fake body parts being tossed into
She,
the audience.
a drag
It was-
queen came out and did a Jeffrey like a feminized Jeffrey Dahmer routine,
Right.
and asked if she could have a gigantic bucket full of fake blood and body parts that she could throw at the audience, because people paid extra money to be in the splash zone at that show.
What?
Dead serious.
Like fucking
Paid
Gallagher or something.
Yeah,
over
and
here.
so
What the
when she
hell?
did her thing,
I was
she,
thinking it sounded like a Guar concert.
dude, she
Yeah.
she reached into this bucket and pulled out feet and hands and whatnot, and just started throwing it at the splash zone.
Now,
Because everybody was told where it was, and so they paid the extra money, so you're going to get your money's worth.
Oh, where do you guys do these things at? Because, like, I mean, we have the high dive here in town, stuff like that. But I couldn't imagine that everybody is cool with just buckets of blood being dumped all over or thrown all
you
over
know,
the place. So
one of the first things that we learned when we started doing these shows was that if we were going to have any sticky acts, as we called them, that we bring our own cleanup equipment. So what we usually do is that before we book anyone, we check in with the venue, other than the usual, dates and times and whatnot. We say, listen, we are a horror production company. So there will be blood, there will be brains, there will be slime, there will be fake brains, there will be this, that, and the other thing. What are you not cool with? Because what you're not cool with, I can go back to the performers and say, this is what the restrictions are. And usually what happens is that the performers will modify their acts to not be as gross.
I would imagine that when you go to a club and you go to a promoter and you say, this is who we are and this is what we do, that there's a moment where that club owner goes, what the fuck?
Yes. Happens a lot.
So how do you get over that hump? Like, how do you sell what you're doing and assure them, like, hey man,
to be honest,
we're gonna leave it just like we found it.
To be honest, the website helps a lot. A lot of the previews that we have on the front page help a lot for them to kind of see what we do.
Right.
I also have a promo reel that I send via email, which does feature some of our more gross shit and be like, this is the extreme we go to. If this is not what you want to have on your stage, then good. Thank you, but goodbye.
Right.
Like, because there was the first year I was very hardcore, and when I brought him on board later on, because he didn't start off with me, but he came on board later. Freddy and I sat down and said, okay, how hardcore do we want to be? A, and B, how close do we want to stick to our brand? Because that's very important in the burlesque world, is that you have a brand and you follow through with it.
Yeah.
So if we are horror and sideshow, then there are going to be people pulling entrails out of folks and sticking needles in themselves for, shits and giggles, and laying on bed of nails and blowing fire and doing all this bullshit.
I volunteer Matt, though. If we ever make it out to a show, I want to volunteer Matt.
So we call that voluntold.
I'm gonna politely decline that.
Let me tell you something. My original tenet for making this creating this company, and something that Freddie and I stick to pretty fiercely, is this: if you're going in to watch a burlesque show, especially one of our burlesque shows, we're going to do obnoxiously gross and weird shit on stage, and you're gonna fucking love it. Because people are taking off clothes at the same time that they're doing this gross and weird shit. And to this day, other than, blowback from certain acts and that kind of stuff, which is, it's not as common as you may think. A lot of people are just like, yes! But they will tip. Like, the more gross it is, like the Repo act, Michaela got like 5s and 10s in the tip bucket. They were just like, yes, more of this shit. People are weird, man.
People like what they like, and when they see something and they see the effort that somebody puts into it, like myself, I've been a performer my whole life practically, and so I can appreciate when I see the work and effort that somebody puts into something. It's like, yeah, I'm going to come out a little bit more than normal, just because,
Yeah, I mean, but still, like, you get caught up in the environment.
Sure.
And the performers we hire they're actually really warm and funny people, even though they might be wearing like a third eye on their forehead or just pulled like a fake liver out of themselves and ate it, which we had a drag queen do, and I fucking loved it, and so I've hired them ever since.
I would do that. I would definitely do that.
She made a costume.
Put the eye on your forehead or drag?
All of it.
I could see that.
Put an act together, babe.
He
wouldn't have to shave the beard though, right?
No. This drag queen is bearded, believe it or not. Like they are. They're totally bearded.
I was actually thinking about wearing a dress today.
Don't they have like a bearded lady thing? Like a sideshow?
It's the wait. I'm gonna stop you right there. The bearded lady thing is problematic. I'm just gonna leave that there. But there are a lot of drag queens who do have beards.
Yeah.
And embrace that as part of their look.
So now, something that interested me when you were talking. You do drag.
I don't do drag. No.
Okay, I thought you said.
I talk about being in high holy drag because it's the same not as intense, but it's like I said, layers of makeup and lashes and a wig.
That makes sense.
A presentation, a look,
right,
of some sort.
That makes more sense because I was like, wait a minute, I thought drag was a man's thing.
Drag actually has expanded a lot.
And you got to forgive me because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about here.
Okay, that's
so
what
I'm learning as we go.
Education.
It's like each question is a flip of the page. Like, oh shit.
Well, let's put it this way: if you say something that I feel is completely fucked up,
yeah,
A, I will tell you, and B, you will watch Freddy's face go, no, dude, don't. My brother,
well, that's
please,
good.
just take a drink. Just take a drink. Just shut up.
Freddy, you're the buffer man. I appreciate that.
I don't know about a buffer because if you get that far gone, I'll just pull out my phone and be like, listen, I'm going to just wait. I can hear when it's over. We're good to go.
No, we try not to get too off the rails. So, I don't think we'll. But yeah, I had, when you had said something about, drag, I was like, wait a fucking minute. So that kind of threw me.
Drag and burlesque actually have a lot of tethers
I could see
to
that.
each other.
I could see that.
They're not the same thing,
right.
but they derive from some of the same origins.
Well, it's over the top. It's
right.
I mean it's
larger
over the
than
top,
life.
It's
entertainment. It's everything is magnified. Everything is hyper,
right.
so to speak. But and a lot of drag and a lot of burlesque have their roots in comedy.
Yeah.
Because of where burlesque started.
Sure.
A million years ago,
right.
and then where drag started a million years ago.
Well, now, where did burlesque start?
Burlesque actually started in the I want to say early 1800s, early 1900s, like over 200 years ago. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, something like that. If Michaela hears this podcast, she's gonna rip me one. She'd be like, "You don't know your history. What the fuck?" She's very good about history and burlesque. The point being is that burlesque didn't pick up speed as far as popularity until something called the Ziegfeld Follies came out. And the Ziegfeld Follies was an entertainment circuit that was based in New York, Atlantic City, I believe. And they started having what they called hoochie coochie girls, which were girls who would come on stage and shake their body and very as tiny as
Charo.
Charo.
She does that hoochie coochie or whatever. I don't fucking know.
Something like that. Hoochie coochie is kind of an old-fashioned term for just basically shaking your stuff on stage.
Right. I just like the term hoochie coochie.
Yeah.
It is a fun term.
I like that.
So yeah, it's kind of derived from that, and it was meant to make fun of a lot of the morals of the day, like fuck your upright shit, like watch this ass shaking or whatever. So there was a lot of that involved in it. So it was pretty rebellious to have a burlesque dancer or a hoochie coochie girl come out and shake her stuff and do her thing. And then as it morphed into an actual art form like drag or anything else, then it became more nuanced. Then it had a resurgence. Like it kind of died out in the, I want to say like the 60s, 50s, 60s, something like that. 1950s, 1960s, it kind of went a little dead.
Right.
And then in the 90s, for some reason, it just, bam, like this total resurgence happened. And there was a lot of...
The 90s was a big time for like...
Moulin Rouge.
Like androgynous...
Yeah, there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of...
I mean, guys like Shannon Hoon, Blind Melon, taking stage wearing dresses and stuff like that. I could
it was
imagine.
also... the 90s to me were a lot of like, fuck the establishment.
Everything
like we had another,
was so cool.
Yeah, everything became basically 30 years later of the 60s. Like the 60s were like, fuck your shit, and then the 90s came out and said, oh, really? Yeah. No, really, fuck your shit.
I've said it a few times. I always love... One of my favorite things about the 90s was obviously the music, but you could take a band like Nirvana and Blues Traveler or Soundgarden and REM, and you could put them all in the same fucking show,
right?
And it just flowed. And throw Dave Matthews in there just for good measure,
God.
Or Smashing Pumpkins.
I think I have to leave now. Dave Matthews, really?
I'm saying you could throw them all in there.
My goth and punk toes are curling in my shoes right now.
But you could even throw goth and punk in there too. I mean, you could throw Marilyn Manson on the bill. I'm just picking out big names here. I don't know much, but yeah.
Why don't we just throw Marilyn Manson out? Shall we?
We could.
Thank you. Can
he
we throw him
hasn't
out?
done much good since probably the 90s.
There's a whole thing. You need to Google Marilyn Manson. There's
Really?
a whole thing.
I know he dropped part of the stage on himself, and there was a big backlash around at the same time.
I mean, he's a mess. Not even a fun mess, just a fucking mess.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot.
I saw him on that.
The show is not long enough for me to tell you what the fuck this man has done in his little career.
I heard a lot of things from Rob Zombie about like how Marilyn Manson is just like a horrible person to work with.
That's an amazing motherfucker right there, though.
No, yeah, Rob Zombie's a badass. Like I love Rob Zombie, and Rob Zombie, if you actually watch an interview with him, is fucking smart as shit.
He is so brilliant.
He is super smart.
He is so in control of what you see and what you hear from him as far as his products, and then now he's all in movies and shit. And like, have you seen some of his horror movies?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean the
House of 1,000 Corpses.
Hell fucking yeah.
Well, and I know the like House of 1,000 Corpses and the stuff that it was amazing, but those fucking Halloween movies that he did, the way that he made Michael Myers look, and it was fucking insane.
Yeah, Halloween.
Jump in there, man. Jump in there.
Oh no, I will jump in when I feel like it.
You're literally watching what this man does. Like he just lets me go pop off at the mouth, and he's just like, all right, I'll be here for cleanup. Like
he likes to watch.
Are you a fan of? Are you a fan of Halloween?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It's the cleanup of remembering where the topic branched off to remember. Like we have places we put on shows, and we love supporting them.
Yeah.
Keeping track where she goes off the rail, it works out.
Yeah, I am the light touch of the two of us, meaning alcohol wise. Like it doesn't take a lot for me to be like, I love you, man. Like I love you from sober to I love you, man, is like less than 5 drinks at this point. And which is
that's all right.
It's so sad.
These days probably same here. I don't drink much these days.
So if I'm 3 drinks into a show, he's just like, okay, I need to make sure the money box doesn't walk away, the merch doesn't walk away, people don't touch the performers. I actually have a really good story. I have to shout Freddy out for this. One of the number 1 rules.
You okay?
Keep drinking. Keep drinking.
This is just a soda.
Were you expecting it to be a beer?
Just keep drinking. Just keep drinking.
No, just the way that she just said that. It was just like...
You should see me at my day job. Like, this is the nighttime version.
Well, so do tell.
This is also completely sober. Like, imagine me 4 drinks in. I'd be like, listen.
So lay it on me.
2 Jews walked into a bar. So pretty much, yeah. One of the major rules of burlesque, and we do have rules, believe it or not, as rebellious as we are, we do have rules. Because it's just, we want it to be safe and sane for everybody.
100%.
Is do not touch the performers.
Yes.
Because we have performers walking around in very, very little.
Yeah.
And so, excuse you, that's not an invite for you to grab things that are not yours.
You guys got to get that a lot, though.
We do have moments.
Yeah.
And when we have those moments and we catch them, then we deal with it then and there. If we don't, usually the performers will tell us and we will deal with it, post happening or whatever. Mm-hmm. We've only had, I think, 2 instances of people trying to grab things that weren't theirs.
Right.
And one of them was in Jacksonville, Florida, where we go sometimes to perform, because we don't have shows a lot here in Gainesville. Mm-hmm. But we've done shows in Orlando, in Jacksonville, in Tampa, in Georgia. We've done Savannah. I mean, we've done.
I would imagine that the smaller towns, the smaller venues could be a little bit more difficult, just based on the niche that you guys are in.
It is more about who's going to let us do what we want to do,
right.
Trails of blood and shit. And then the other thing is
not generally small town America.
Yeah, no, I don't see us going to Kansas with that shit.
Right.
Oh, I'll do it. Don't try me. I will find a way.
Listen, bitch, tour 2021, okay?
Nice.
Kansas, all of Kansas.
Nice.
Jesus Christ. There are days where I'm just like, why do I date you? I don't know.
That sounds like a personal problem, and you gotta figure that out yourself.
So how do we shout Freddy out here? What happened?
Okay, all right,
I'm definitely I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, no, I remember. I wasn't that drunk. So one of our performers did an act on stage, and his name is Jaden Starr, and he's based out of Jacksonville, and he's awesome. Right. He's also done a lot of stuff for us because he loves to get weird. He's like, feel like getting weird. What y'all doing this month? I'm like, not this month, baby, next month. But he did it. He was wearing very little. He was basically wearing a thong, and the front of the thong just basically cupped his junk, and that was it. Everything else was out and about.
Right.
This very drunken woman was sitting next to a friend of hers, and they were at the show, and the woman apparently reached for his junk, like he was getting a tip from her, and she reached out, wanted to touch somebody, and I was I was in the backstage area making sure things were rolling along for the other performers who were getting ready to come out. And fortunately, Jaden moved to the side because he saw where her hand was going, and he kind of like did this little twirl and like backed up so she couldn't touch him. But when he came back to the dressing room, he was popping off like, this bitch, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, shit. And apparently, Freddy saw it happen in the actual bar at the stage area. And so he was the one who was like, yo, could you not?
Right.
And the drunk woman's friend was sober enough to be like, I'm so sorry. Like, she just, he's really hot, and she just lost her mind, and she's really drunk. And he's like, I understand that. But
because that excuses being a total fucking
douche. Yeah. So he was like, I get it, but please don't touch our people. Like, we will have you removed from here. And we actually have a really good relationship with that bar owner to begin with. So if we had gone to her and said, yo, one of your patrons is being a dick to one of our performers, she would have been like, out. Banned. Get out.
And, I would assume that, women are going to get, scantily clad women are going to get pawed at and looked at. And, that's, and that sucks.
But scantily clad women covered in blood and entrails.
Right.
They don't get grabbed as much as you think.
And I'm not. And I'm certainly
the guys just kind of the straight men who are into them is like, you're hot, but I'm kind of scared right now, so I don't really know what to do with it.
And it's not to say that by any stretch of the imagination.
There's a little bit of a turnoff, like when a girl is covered in blood.
But that's not to say that it's obviously that it's okay for men to be grabbing scantily clad.
There's
women,
okay for nobody to be grabbing scantily clad anything.
But I would be willing to bet you, like solid cash, that most people don't think of it in the same way when it's a woman grabbing a man like that. Most people would probably, it's okay, but it's not. It's the same fucking thing. It's just as bad.
Yeah, but being a woman or a female representing person doesn't excuse you from bad behavior.
Right.
It just if you suck, you suck.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman,
right,
or a trans person, or you're gay or you're straight or I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a shit.
Keep
don't
your fucking hands to
don't
yourself.
touch my fucking people.
Right.
I have watched people get their hands bent backwards, not by performers, but by producers and security in the place for that shit. Like, nope, get the fuck out. So it's always the number one rule. Like, every venue we go to, no matter who's hosting, whether it's myself or another host that we hire, they always go over the rules of don't touch anybody. Like, we may come near you, we may lean over you, we may flirt with you, we may even ask permission to sit on you. And usually that is done. Like, I have seen performers sit on audience members' laps, but it's always pre-approved. Like,
and
they
it's
go
part of the show.
Yeah, they go quietly to that person and say, hey, during my act, I'm going to sit on your lap.
Right.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Before anything gets started. And so that's usually fine.
Yeah.
It's in the moment when the person's like, oh, look, an ass. Like,
no,
not your ass.
What you need to get is you need to go find some strip club bouncers. Because these guys are usually like 8 feet tall.
Yes.
And they're about 8 feet wide. And you can just be sitting in a strip club and they're nowhere to be seen. But if you think about grabbing a titty, they just appear out of nowhere and they're like, hey, man.
You'd be
that's
amazed.
It.
You don't really want
Gone.
a lot of us in your face either. And that's usually what ends. No, seriously. They usually, if the bar, depending on what the security is in the bar, the performers, we have such a community here, at least in Gainesville, we do. And then other places we do as well, depending on, because I travel all over the place when I perform.
Right.
That if anybody were to touch someone, like there's a performer named Tush who works out of Orlando.
Yeah. And
somebody literally grabbed a titty. Not her titty, but like a titty in the performer in the show that she was part of. This 5'5" or 5'6", like tiny, petite woman.
That's not tiny.
Well, to me it is. To me it is.
5'4", 5'4" and a half.
Listen, I said platforms I'm usually in are like 6'3", 6'4", and after that everyone's little. But she literally backed, and this man was huge. This man was 6 feet plus, like huge, broad-shouldered man. She backed him out verbally from the venue. Didn't touch him. but got so mad at him that she backed him out, and he was like, what the fuck, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's cursing up a storm because he's drunk as a skunk.
Right.
And she's like, not in my house. Get the fuck out, blah, blah. And so all you see are performers coming up behind her like, we got a problem here? Is there a problem here? We got a problem here? And we're talking like 8 or 9 deep.
Yeah.
You know, lashes or no lashes. Like, if you touch one of us, we are all going to break you. Okay? It's like, please.
We will break you.
We will break you. Like, you don't
shit.
really need a stiletto in your fucking eye. Like, you don't need that in your life. Now, do we like to have to do that? No. Not at all.
But so you guys are a community. You guys are a team. You know,
oh,
you stick
no,
together.
yeah.
That's
Like,
awesome.
That's
the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like a family.
Yeah. 100%.
So, you know, like I said, Freddie and I are lucky enough to have been in venues to where we have that kind of community going.
Yeah.
And so we don't have, you know, bullshit. Like, bullshit's going to happen, but it's quashed immediately.
Yeah.
And usually there's enough of what we call a trained audience to know that if somebody starts fucking up, even the audience would be like, dude, don't do that. Because then they stop the show and we don't get to see any more naked people and you fucking suck. Like, you know, so it becomes almost like a mob mentality. Like, stop being an asshole. You know?
Yep.
So
I love seeing naked people.
I love naked people so much.
That's my favorite.
Naked, let me tell you, naked or semi-naked people are just beautiful.
Now, but burlesque doesn't go full nude. Is
no,
that,
they
is
don't.
that right?
No.
Is that,
we go
is
down
that
to what's
across
called,
the board?
Yes, we go down to what's called pasties, which are nipple covers, and G-strings or thongs or anything else that basically covers the genitalia and the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is out, though.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I have seen some tiny panties in my day. Tiny. I'm just like, do you have something under there? Like, are you a Barbie doll? Like, what is?
So how? The $1 million question. Mm-hmm. How did you get into this? How did you find your way into burlesque?
Myself?
Yourself. What tipped the scale for you?
That was actually a fun one. It related to a mutual friend of ours, Jenny Castle. Actually, I ended up working for her at an establishment she used to run, and Jenny Castle and Sally B. Dash decided to just up and go, you know what, we're gonna do a how-to burlesque class. And she's like, well, I don't have anything else going on with the day job, so I'm gonna just
might as well
go do this.
Yeah.
And it started out pretty slowly, and holy shit, the cost of Rhinestones. I don't know why we didn't buy stock, but we fucked up somewhere. Rhinestones and shop vac, that should have been the two investments that I made, and I didn't.
Why a shop vac?
Have you ever tried to sweep up blood?
Fucking A's got me there. Shit.
You probably have, but maybe not.
Now I see why Freddy's laying down the law. Now I see what it's all about. I get it.
That's
that makes sense.
Much easier to vacuum up majority and then just, a quick spot mop.
Yeah.
And then also shop vac has those.
Microfiber claws are my life.
So
throw that on there.
At what point though was it like, yeah, this is it? Like,
for me, I didn't see two things. I've always been a rather sexual person.
Yeah.
And being the age that I am, a lot of people don't see that anymore. There's like, oh, well, you have silver hair and you're this and you're this and you're this. And I'm like, my vajay still works. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And it's always hilarious. No, seriously, it's hilarious because they assume that I'm hella married and I have 3.5 children in college and like all this horse shit. And I'm like, that's nice.
First off, you don't look old enough to have kids in college. So whoever the
baby,
fuck's saying that.
I'm probably older than you.
Do you see all this gray hair? Do you see that? This is.
I love when this happens. I seriously doubt you are older than I am. I seriously doubt it.
How old do you think she is? That's the first question.
26.
I love him. Can we keep him?
Yeah. He's for sale.
If I don't have
he's negotiable.
If I don't have to keep cleaning up the stage, that works.
We'll just keep him in the guest room.
Honestly, I would say 32, 33.
That's the average guess, and you are
so
horrendously wrong.
So wrong.
You are closer to my age than hers.
Really?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
You want me to tell you how old I am?
You don't have to.
Okay. I don't give a shit.
If
like,
you
I'm
want to.
I'm not one of these women oh no, I never reveal my age.
I just turned 40 last Friday.
Oh, I'm older than you.
Barely, right?
No.
Get the fuck out of here. There's no way you're like 50.
I'll be 50 in February.
Shut the fuck up. What?
I'll be 50 in February.
Go to purplenightshadespoductions.com
and realize how wrong you are.
and I'm telling you, there's no fucking way. But
I promise you, I'm 49 years old. And for everybody out there who goes, ew, she's 49 and gets naked, I said, baby, I get paid $200 to get naked.
I love
so
it.
Fuck you.
And that's before your money that you're going to give me anyways.
Do you know how many men out there have mommy issues? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I get on the
Yeah.
stage and they
Yeah.
figure out how old I am. They're just like, so what are you doing?
yeah, my
later?
mom sucked. I got mommy issues all
Let me
day, so
tell you
I know what's up.
something.
I'm with you.
Let me tell you something. They're just like, what are you doing later? I'm like, not you. You need therapy. Here's my therapist name.
Dude, I'm
But feel
33
free-
years old, and I'm pretty sure people would pay me $200 to not get naked.
100%. 100%. I'll throw in on that. I think I
Well,
have thrown in on
Yeah,
that.
here's the crazy thing. So I was, at the time, I was 45, 44, 45?
44.
44. I was
6 years.
44 years old, taking this class, having a blast. I had known Jenny Castle for a while before that, like we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you should do this. And I'm like, get the fuck out. What? I said, I'm 44. No one's going to pay to see a 44-year-old bitch on stage with what the fuck? No. And she's like, yes, they will.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing a student showcase
Right.
at the end of the class. And they said, if you feel like performing, do it. If you don't, it's fine. He was actually on the stage for my very first performance because I was so terrified. Of
So you guys were together beforehand.
Yes.
Before the
yeah,
burlesque.
yeah.
Just a little bit, actually, not very far.
No.
But how old is Freddy now? Like, we're
So, yeah,
talking
that's
Freddy's
probably
like
about
22. That's,
Yeah.
So you
Freddy
went to the
looks
other
like
end
he
of the
could be
spectrum.
about 22.
I am actually 28, 29 in December. Or November.
Wow.
November, not December.
Wow, so
Ugh.
Rob, just like robbing the cradle.
Robbing
Now
the
he's
cradle.
like-
He was going to
now
say,
he's
it's all right.
like,
Say it. Spit it out there, brother.
Let's do the math.
It's,
What?
yeah, that's why I said when you said 32,
Yeah.
it's like closer to my age, but also
Trust
it
me, I've
causes-
heard the cougar shit for like the last.
I don't think it's a thing,
Yeah.
though. Like, I really don't. like-
Honey.
I mean,
People fire off
shit.
with it, but no. It's actually caused me to just mess up my age. I completely misfiled government paperwork for a whole year. It was like, well, she's 20 years older than I am, so since she's 48, I'm definitely 28, and I was doing that for the entire year before I turned 28. Till a discussion with a coworker, and he was like, "Oh, so you were born in '90?" And I was like, "No, '91." He goes, "So you're 27?" Oh fuck! Everything is wrong here. Here we go.
So,
Trust me, he didn't think I was in my 40s when he first met me. He was like, "There's no fucking way." And I'm like, "Here's my license."
well,
He's like, "God damn,
You guys are an
you,
adorable
you
couple.
wear it
Thank you.
extremely well, and
Well, thank
you know,
you.
so
the power of makeup,
my goodness.
the power of makeup, water, and virgin blood drunk at midnight
There you
on the
go.
full moon."
There you go.
That actually works really, really well. But no, I just, so back to the original story. Long story short, I did the first performance. We did this thing, and I loved it.
How
Like
did
everybody,
it feel? the
It-
first time.
I was terrified.
Had
I was
you-
shaking.
had you ever-
My feet were sweating. I was like, oh my God, I'm about to take my clothes off in front of people.
Had you
I'm
ever
about to
done
take my
anything
clothes
like
off.
that before? Like
Not in front
anything?
of not in front of a crowd. Like I have done sexual things before, but
Right.
never like, hi, there's about 35, 40, 50
Right.
people about to stare at you take off clothes on stage. And I also had friends that did sex work
Yeah.
when I was in my 20s, so I wasn't unused to like a strip club
Sure.
or whatever. Like it didn't bother me at all.
How far into the show were you before you were like, oh, this is cool. I'm kind of digging this, or was it just nervous
when I was
the whole time?
I was nervous the entire time,
Yeah.
and I'm told that that's very normal.
Right.
For a lot of performers, even performers who've been doing this for 10, 15 years,
Sure.
they still get nervous before they go out there and do a performance,
Yeah.
even if it's an act they've
I
done
get that.
17 times.
Yep.
Because you never want to lose that energy
Yeah.
of performing in front of humans. Like
Mhm.
even if no matter what you're doing, whether you're doing stand up or you're doing burlesque or you're doing sideshow or you're juggling or whatever, it doesn't matter. You never want to lose that. You don't want it to turn like, oh God, it's a job. Okay, let me
Yeah.
just go on stage and do this again. Like you don't want to get to that
So
point.
you want that rush. You
want that
Mhm.
nervous energy, like oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Yeah, it gives
know?
you an edge.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Like I can always tell when a performer is completely over it,
Yeah.
and when a performer, even though they've done the act 65 times, are just in it. Like they're
Mhm.
living it, loving it, doing all the things. And so, for me, the first time was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Not unlike the first time I had sex. Like literally the first time I had sex. I am so old.
When you got done, were you like, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that again, or were you instantly just like,
I honestly
I'm
don't.
hooked?
I don't remember.
No.
He could probably tell you better than I could. I don't.
Was she
remember.
hooked? Was she into it?
She was definitely wanted to do it, but wasn't sure if she was going to keep up on it solo. It actually came down to a few of the other people in the class deciding, you know what, we're going to make this group. We're going to start doing it together. And it wasn't until about 3 or 4 months later, after the normal waking up to 6 a.m. coffee of, oh shit, I have to finish these underwear in 4 hours, or in the car ride on the way, that kind of thing. The breakdown.
Why you got to call me out like this?
Because I drove to
These
Savannah.
are our new friends. You really got to do this right now?
I drove to Savannah in a hurricane while you rhinestoned underwear. I can call you out when I want to.
Okay.
That's how you know that we're friends.
Exactly.
Because we can talk about stuff.
We can
like
talk
Listen.
shit to each other. It's all good.
Listen, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when we get home tonight. All right, watch. That's the reason we have a guest room, motherfucker.
There's a reason we have a guest room, and the cat is there.
It's full. It sounds like it's probably full of like rhinestones and underwear.
No, that's a whole nother room.
A whole nother room.
There's a whole other room.
separate room for that, and I can also attest to the fact that there are rhinestones everywhere. I have found one on my nutsack while at work.
What?
Had not been at the house in a few days.
What?
And was just like, why is everything sticking? And decided to go check, and yeah, sure enough, there's a like 1/4-inch rhinestone just hanging out.
What can I say?
You guys are my favorite.
Yeah, I'm having a great time.
Oh, I'm
This
so
is-
glad.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was about 3 months down, and then she finally got comfortable and was like, okay, I can do this, but can I afford it?
Yeah.
And that's where when it just came down to, you know what, just do it. We'll figure out the shit. It'll get done.
What have you had people that have come to you with issues like body issues and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah.
And how do you tell them like, hey, chill out, just relax, just be you? Like, how do you tell them that?
Body issues are not uncommon. My tagline, most performers have a tagline associated with their brand,
Right.
so to speak. My tagline is the Giant of Jiggle.
The
Giant of Jiggle. That is my tagline. So when I'm introduced on stage, there's like, the Giant of Jiggle, Della-Kate Flower.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I took that tagline because I am a tall woman and
Right.
I am over 200 pounds. So, a lot of people see that and go, oh my God, how could you take clothes off on stage? Who wants to see that? I'm like, you would be amazed on who fucking wants to see this shit, okay? Like, they don't care. Like, legit don't care. I had one guy tip me a $20 bill. He's like, thank you for existing. And I was like, if you would like to see more of this, grabbing my titties, give me more money.
Well, it's sexy. Confidence is sexy.
Let me tell you something.
Hands down.
I like to tell the stories of the different moments I've had when people come to me with body issues. I usually validate.
Well, this is the place to do it.
I usually validate their fears, first of all, because everybody has some kind of issue with the way they look.
Right.
And anybody who tells you, oh, I love myself, I'm like, I'm sure it took you a long time to get there. And that's what I start with.
Yeah.
I didn't walk on stage, take off clothes, and like, yes, my body is glorious. I was terrified.
Yeah.
I thought my first act, after the student showcase and I joined a group and started to actually perform, I thought my first act sucked ass. And it didn't.
Did you build your first act?
I did, from the ground up. Sewed everything, put fake blood over everything because I was doing this really funny act to a song I liked, and I had this little shtick going with a prop and this whole thing, and there were literally 75 people in that audience. I was almost peeing myself, terrified. I was like, I'm gonna suck. But body issues for me was more about challenging the belief that anybody who got up on stage and took off their clothes had to be 150 pounds and
fuck that.
size triple D, titties or whatever, or had rock hard abs or a big dick or what. Like, there's this misconception that nudity is restricted to certain body types or certain permissible presentations.
I agree.
And my first thought with that tagline, as well as with performing, is fuck that shit. Like, fuck you. I don't care. Yeah. And so while I still get nervous about showing my body, I still have parts of my body that I'm not favoriting by any means. Like, I don't dig on them all the time. I do know that once I'm on the stage, nothing matters.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter about my belly. It doesn't matter about. I have a gigantic scar across my midsection. That's a combination of an operation I had when I was a kid, plus being stabbed in the stomach.
Holy shit!
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Well, shit, we got a fucking hour to burn, so
Yeah, you just opened up a whole can of worms.
Like
Holy shit!
Listen,
if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to by any means.
It has to do with the day job, so I really don't want to get into it. But where the scars are, it makes one continuous scar.
Right.
And what it does is that it creates, believe it or not, it creates kind of a happy face on my torso. And what I mean by that is if you actually look at me head on naked, my tits are eyes, my belly button's a nose, the scar is a smile, and my vajay is a beard. So now you have that thought to go to.
Definitely my favorite.
That is something.
That's incredible.
That is something you have to sleep on now. Just continue to stare at me and not see it. Okay.
I'm gonna go to sleep tonight. Now I'm gonna be thinking about that.
You sure we can't take him home? Sure.
That is your house.
See, this is why we're stay together, because he recognizes these things.
There's also a shed. It can be a whole separate room.
So Freddie, what's your story, man? You were born and raised right here. You just kind of hang out and go to these shows like what do you
puts up with
do?
The Rhinestoning.
Do you contribute to ideas?
Are you looking at the smiley face?
Do you critique
Don't make me
things?
shimmy at you; it'll just get worse.
It is a lot of everything. So critiquing.
Like how involved in the overall process of this are you?
More than I'm typically seen, just because as far as at least publicly on Facebook and other social media platforms, I keep it down. Again, because of the day job, I don't have a separate page.
Yeah.
But it's still just like, hey, how does this look? What do we want to do here? How can I make this work?
Right.
I'm just somebody who likes to fix things or upgrade things. So when she comes and it's like, hey, I want to do like wings or this mask or something, and I don't know how to make it work. It's like I watch enough shows, I can either figure it out or I'll fuck with it till I do.
Right.
And
or fucking YouTube it. Everything's on goddamn. I learned how to change my brakes from watching a YouTube video.
And almost everything is on YouTube. There are some things where it's like, okay, but they haven't thought how to do it this way. There's a big difference between, hey, I need this harness, and hey, I need this harness, so when I unclip it, it just like spews blood everywhere. Like
that's probably not on YouTube.
It's probably not on YouTube. But when you take both videos and you just go, okay, cool, overlay, where do they connect?
Right.
It works out a little bit easier. And then other than that, between that, a bit of the financials, screening over acts, like, okay, we've got these 3 performers, and I can't pick which one to put on, so what do we think? Yeah. It's a lot of that behind-the-scenes work until the day of. And then it's like, hey, this is the co-producer.
Right.
If you have questions, you can go to him. If he can't answer them, he'll know where I am.
Sure.
It works out pretty well. The backstage part of, if somebody needs to go, bye, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, we did tell you you're not getting your money back. Have fun. Don't be a dick. And it works out pretty well.
Yeah, it's very much I'm mom and he's dad.
Yeah.
Like mom is, okay, it'll be fine, you'll be fine, da-da-da-da, we're going to fix it. And he's just like, no, fuck that.
Right.
They're grounded.
You got to have somebody like that, though. That's important, especially with what you're doing, know, because, I mean, you find yourself in a vulnerable position from time to time. You got to have a guy who's just going to throw the fucking hammer down.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's sometimes I try to hold him off from doing that. He's like, nope, I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, do it. And I don't mind throwing the hammer down when I need to, because sometimes I do have to run the shows by myself because he actually, has a job himself.
But you kind of like it when he takes charge a little bit?
More than you know.
Yeah, I got it. I know what's up now.
There it is.
I see how it works. I know the dynamic. I get that.
Let me tell you something. It's really funny when people do figure out that dynamic, and then they're just like,
"But why?"
Yeah, that's the first question. Like, how is that? Look at you and look at what? Nobody believes it. I'm just like, the only person I would ever let step on my toe like that would be him.
Yeah.
Everybody else could get fucked.
Well, that's good.
I don't care.
I mean, but that's good.
That is so sweet.
You've found the dynamics and the boundaries at work, and that's key, man.
And it's sometimes understanding when I need to just go, no, you're too attached to this, which is an upside to me not being an actual performer,
right?
And not being such a public this is me
you
attached to everything.
You never thought about it, man. Never thought about.
I mean, I've definitely thought about
throwing on the wig and some heels.
I'm thinking about it right now, you in a G-string and with some nipple tape.
Oh, let me tell you something.
I'm thinking about it right now.
There was one of our earlier dates where we went out and he's like, "Oh, you want to wear a corset? I'll wear a fucking corset." He put a corset on.
I don't give a shit.
Listen, he put a corset on over a dress shirt. I about blew him at the bar. I was like, "Let's go."
That's why you wore the fucking corset, because you almost blew him at the bar.
He looked,
of course.
He looked hot as shit. I was like, "Holy shit, you look hot." He was like, "I don't give a fuck." Like, he truly doesn't give a fuck. Like, he does not give a fuck.
That's good.
Yeah,
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, they're not getting on stage.
I think I might need to get a corset.
Let me tell you something, baby. You get a good one.
Don't expect to breathe. Do understand, breathing exercises. But beside that point, yeah.
So it's not going to be comfortable, but I can feel sexy while I'm doing it.
You just described the entire burlesque world.
Holy
okay?
shit. Look at Matt breaking it down.
I'm not going to be comfortable, but I'm going to look damn sexy while I'm doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You might not be able to look down and enjoy what's happening, but you'll feel it, and that's all that matters.
So now, so what we have is when you had reached out to me initially, you said yeah, we're a horror burlesque
and sideshow
company.
Yes.
So when I think sideshows, like we were talking earlier, like the bearded lady stuff, the sword swallower, the typical circus type of sideshows. That's where my mind goes. How far off base am I with that? Like,
actually, not too far off base. The typical sideshow acts that we see combined with burlesque, because I've seen people spinning around in the air, taking off clothes. Like,
sure,
it's pretty impressive. We have hired sword swallowers.
Yeah,
there's actually a sword swallower in Jacksonville called Chelsea No Pants, and Chelsea had swallowed a hanger before, and everyone in the audience was like, exactly that face. There was like, oh my god, and then she pulled it,
shit in my throat.
like she pulled it out slowly, and everyone was just like, I don't know what. Here's money. I don't even know what to do with you.
I feel like I should pay her right now.
Yeah, she's incredible. Like, she's incredible. She does all that shit.
But you said her name is Chelsea
No Pants.
No Pants.
Chelsea No Pants.
Chelsea No Pants.
I feel like I need to give her a tip just because her name is No Pants.
Yeah. She when she gets on stage, she wears very little doing all of this shit.
Wow.
So yeah, she's amazing. So we've hired her before. I have hired people who do what they call needle acts, where they take the big surgical needles that you see and they and inject them into their skin and like weave them into their skin and yeah. Well, but I'm saying like that kind of stuff is in line with our brand of weird and creepy.
Oh,
shit.
It's amazing. I have mad respect for people that do that shit.
So I've seen needle shit. I have seen staples. Yep. It's real big.
Yeah.
They take like the big power.
And just like staple.
Yeah. Boop.
I've seen some people do that shit.
People will staple money to them, and depending on where you want to staple it is the amount of money you have to pony up. Oh. So for example, $100 you get to staple to like a titty or a head or something. Yeah.
A titty?
Yeah.
Don't fuck that up.
Yeah.
All right, so you're upset about the titty but not the head.
I'm not going to staple nothing to a titty. I like titties. I'm not stapling nothing to it.
I also
I'm not
like having
defacing the titty.
I also enjoy having a head without staples in it.
However, if you angle it correctly, you now have a new piercing, and you paid $100.
See? And he's the idea man. I get it now.
This is why I keep him around.
It makes sense. I totally get it.
So we
Don't do that.
We see.
Don't try this at home, kids.
How is it that the youngest guy in this crew, like right now, is the one with the most common sense? Like,
he hasn't been corrupted yet, maybe.
Oh, no.
I knew that was wrong as soon as I said it. What the fuck am I talking about?
You need to stop for a second and think about this.
Yeah.
Here is, a 28-year-old man dating a 49-year-old woman and has been dating her for 6 years. Let's put that math together. If he didn't have common sense, he wouldn't be A, in my house, or B,
I can't count that high.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be in my house, or he wouldn't be in me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Like,
here.
I'm over the phase of fucking stupid people, so I'm like, no. Sorry. I'm just done with that shit.
Hey, good job, Freddy. You're not a stupid people.
Yeah.
Person is sometimes, I have my moments. It's not always sunshines and rainbows, or what was it?
Rhinestones on the dick.
Rhinestones on the dick.
Rhinestones on the
Holy
dick.
shit. You know what? I'm sorry. I have to stop because rhinestones
on the dick.
Oh Jesus! When the title for the episode hits you in the face, you got to write it down.
Rhinestones on a dick.
Episode 37. Rhinestones on the dick.
Not everything is always sunshine and strippers.
But it could be.
There's about 6 days out of the week it is.
When I moved to Gainesville at 20, that was one of the biggest letdowns. Was I was like, wait a minute, they don't have a fucking strip club here? You gotta be kidding me. At the time they actually had Trader Souths.
Yeah.
There was that really ghetto place downtown. Like really super ghetto. There was like a dirty
but it
couch.
wasn't a full.
I think it was topless, but
Yeah, as far as the
But I
laws
thought it
will
was
let
like
you go.
pasties.
Yeah, that's
Because that was as far as you could go.
all right.
Like if I'm going to a strip club, I got to see some nipples.
Decadence. That's what I'm talking.
Yeah,
about.
I remember that
Yeah,
place.
that was a big
Yeah, there was Decadence.
I
That
actually-
was a very tiny place.
Yes, it
if
was.
I remember.
I actually played.
Super
I played
tiny.
that club once before it was Decadence.
Oh wow, that building has been so many damn
Yeah.
things at this point. I think right now it's being converted over to a cannabis dispensary or some shit.
Bravo!
I mean, hey,
I love it.
I don't even know if that building is still there anymore.
where Decadence was.
Yeah.
It's like a little tiny house building. Yeah, it's still there.
It is
It's
still there.
It went from Decadence to like a restaurant, I think. I'm trying to remember because I remember seeing Decadence. I do remember.
It's all
Decadence.
blacked out.
I
and
haven't lived here my whole life, but I do remember Decadence. Which is a weird thing to say, but moving on. So it went from Decadence to like a restaurant, and that failed, and then it went to another restaurant, and that failed, and then it went to like some weird cookie store,
Yeah.
and that failed, and now I think it's being converted over to a cannabis place.
Are you from Florida?
I am from Florida. I'm actually from Miami.
Miami. Huh?
I was born in Gainesville,
Yeah.
and then my father said, "Fuck this." And my father and mother moved to Miami when I was a toddler, and I was raised there ever since.
Wow.
I have lived in a lot of different places though, up and down the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I always tell people my soul belongs in Seattle.
Really?
I fucking love Seattle. I
Yeah?
fucking love it.
I've heard a lot of cool things. I had a friend of mine who lived out in Seattle.
Yeah.
For a couple years. Her and her
It's
filmmaker husband.
expensive.
That was why she moved. She
It's
was like, we had a
expensive.
kid. We want to buy a house. We want to
Not
settle
in
down.
Seattle.
She's like, you don't fucking buy a house in
Yeah,
Seattle.
if I ever
unless
move
you
out
got
to Seattle, I
bank.
have now hit I've hit the lottery.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I'm living
Is that
out
where
there.
you're gonna go if you hit the lottery?
If I hit the lottery, yeah, I'd buy a big ass house in Seattle and just fucking exist.
Freddie, how do you feel about Seattle?
That's a lot of fucking rain. So.
And
you're
this is
gonna
from a
go,
man
though,
in
aren't you?
Florida. From Florida,
I'll
you're
go.
saying there's a lot of fucking
He'll
rain.
go.
Yeah, I'll go and we'll just keep the
it
house here so I
rains
can see the sun
basically
once
like
in a while.
350 days out of the year. Like
Exactly.
I love rain.
I do too.
I heart rain.
But it feels like it's been raining like every fucking day here forever. Is that just me?
Then stop
It's-
pissing me off.
Yeah,
and I'll
I'm
stop
also-
it.
It's
I'm
just-
also not complaining, considering I'd rather rain the entire hurricane season, but no hurricanes because
Yeah.
20's been a bit much already.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah, I was gonna
not-
say, do not bring any more
Yeah.
hell upon us.
Yeah,
Here
let's
in
not
Florida.
open any doors that are closed. And
No.
just fuck that.
No.
We skated by the mummy issue, the whole dust cloud thing. Like,
We didn't see murder hornets.
Actually, a
So-
friend of mine saw a murder hornet in their garden.
I had a friend of mine
and
that
took
saw
a
one
picture.
too.
Took a picture of it. The thing was as big as the palm of your
Yeah.
hand. It looked like some kind of literal movie monster. It was disgusting. I said, "Oh my
That's
god."
insane.
yeah.
I'd cry if I fucking saw one. I'm not even lying.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do.
It's so weird. I'm actually scared of the stupidest shit for someone who's like knee deep in horror production.
Like what?
Okay. When I am really afraid. Oh, I am afraid of roaches.
Roaches?
Like I'm terrified.
That's
of roaches.
okay.
disgusting.
That's
Those are
okay.
disgusting.
But most people are like, "Ew, gross," and they step on it. I'm just like, "Oh my god!" I got back out of the room terrified.
I had one run up my arm one time. I was taking out the trash.
Yeah, thank you. I don't need to go
Yeah.
to sleep with that.
There
Okay.
was coffee grounds on top of the trash,
no.
and I whoa,
No.
and the trash went.
No.
Gone.
No.
So did the coffee grounds.
no.
That was a bitch. It's a funny story.
Please stop.
How do you feel about spiders?
I love spiders.
You love spiders?
You know
I
why?
fucking
Because spiders
spiders.
eat roaches.
I hate spiders.
They eat them.
You know who else hates spiders?
Hey Nick, how do you feel about snakes?
I hate snakes almost
I
as
love
bad as
snakes.
spiders.
You know what
But-
snakes eat? Roaches.
But I'm going to tell you something funny that happened today to my wife, who also does not like spiders, though not nearly as bad as me. I almost shot my gun through the wall to kill a spider because I was so terrified. I fucking hate spiders. And this morning, my lovely wife, she got up to go to work, got dressed, put her shoes on, and felt like her sock was bunched up. So she pulled her foot back out, and little baby spiders were crawling all over her foot.
Aww.
And then
cute.
she threw her shoe into the sink, and the mother spider, carrying all the babies, fell out, and she crushed that and then killed all the babies too. So
now I'm sad. That's really sad, man.
Yeah, we don't fuck around with spiders in this house at all.
In that one instance, that's fair.
Yeah,
no,
that's a little
close to home.
I'd have freaked the fuck out.
Listen,
I
man.
never would have worn that
I'm surprised you didn't start the entire house on fire.
I was at work when it happened. I was already gone.
That's
so.
the only reason we're here right now. You'd be like, hey, so we need to meet at a coffee
Yeah,
shop.
yeah.
I don't have a house. It's a coffee shop.
There was an
podcast.
unfortunate accident.
Yeah, there was a spider, so yeah, we can't be at Nick's house.
Yeah, I walked into my bedroom years ago, and I thought, the thing was huge, and the first thing popped in my mind was like, oh, should I shoot it? No, you idiot.
No.
It would have been a bad idea for a lot of people.
So that's I freaked out by. I'm also terrified of heights. Like terrified.
Well, that's
of
legit
heights.
though. I don't like heights either.
Well, it's a real bummer at like amusement parks. I'm like, y'all go on the roller coaster, bye.
Yeah.
Like I can't do it. Like
See, even if you're like
Tower of Terror,
secured
like
or
drop
nothing?
at Disney World,
Yeah.
no, can't fucking do that shit.
See,
either.
like I'm the
pass out.
opposite. Like I actually love heights,
Have at it.
but I have like a weird like vertigo thing. Like
Yeah, I do too.
So like when I like
That must
I,
be a
I
tall
could be,
thing. I don't know.
It could be a tall thing, but like I could be sitting like on like a 2-foot step stool, and I reach over my head and I feel like I'm gonna die. But then you put me like 100 feet up, and I'm just working on something like right in front of me. I'm perfectly fine.
Well, people ask me how I fly because it's like, oh, afraid of heights, and I'm
Right.
like, actually, for some reason, in a plane, I feel safe, which is
Yeah.
fucked up because more, more planes, go down and blow up and all
Yeah.
that shit. But I'm just like, I don't know what it is, but I can be in a plane, look out the window, and look down at whatever landscape is going on, and I don't give a shit. But the minute I'm in a roller coaster, a hot air balloon, a Ferris wheel, anything,
Have you-
a
have you-
20-story building looking out the window, I start
Oh,
sweating.
really? You can't even do like a building?
I can do a building, but I cannot look out the window for an
Yeah.
extended period of time or get close to the window and like look down because then the palms start sweating and I start feeling like I was going to throw up and pass out.
I learned I was afraid of heights when I was like 7 or 8. There's a dam up in Michigan where I was born. I lived up there for like 10 years. And friend of the family, we all went to this dam, and they all decided they were going to walk across it. And the grates had holes in it, so you could see straight down to the fucking water. And my knees locked up, buckled. I was on the floor. That was it. That was
it's
when
really
I was
weird
terrified of
when
heights.
if you finally figured that out and you
Yeah.
finally realize, oh shit, I'm not actually invincible.
Yeah.
I'm not actually like not afraid of shit.
But at the same time, when I was in high school, I used to work in the theater, and I was the one who used to climb up and hang lights.
Same.
And so
Same.
I was up there. There was nothing but a little thin piece of drywall between me and certain death.
Mm-hmm.
But I was on the catwalk, and I guess that was enough
I did theater
for
too.
me.
You'll find out a lot of burlesquers, a lot of performers are theater kids or had some
Yeah.
involvement with theater
Yeah.
in some kind of way.
Yeah.
I was a theater kid in high school. I actually have a minor in theater from college.
Yeah.
So getting on a stage or being around stage people or being around theater people of any type are like super normal for me.
Thespian Troop 334.
I don't think Freddy, you're actually afraid of anything, are you?
Afraid of anything? So
Me.
heights. Bullshit.
Oh, now you're really sleeping. Listen, motherfucker, now you're really sleeping in the guest room. Okay, fuck you.
Lay it
and
on
your
thick, man.
Bitch, you
Go for
thought.
broke now. You're already fucked.
He's just trying to get me riled up until we get home. Watch.
I got the car keys. I'm good. I'm at least getting home. So
I hope all our friends hear this and laugh their asses.
Oh, I'm 100% sure the second that he can, my boss is going to be like, so I heard the podcast. How did you actually get home that night?
How did you not die?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of, man? What deep down what terrifies you?
It's actually an interesting one. All of my fears are like in relation to not being able to control something. So like I don't mind spiders
Okay.
if I know it's there. I don't
All right.
mind roaches if they're there. Heights, roller coasters
I'm
are
with
a bit
you
of
on
an
that.
issue.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, if I know it's there, it's like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
I can deal with you. You stay
Yeah.
in your corner, I'll stay in my corner.
Oh, I
Worst
still
comes
gotta
to
crush
worst.
it, but I mean, if it's a spider, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Like if it's across the room, I'll be like, cool.
Sure.
Can I get you out of the house without killing you? Probably. If not, I have definitely shot. I have shot a training tip arrow into the wall of my apartment back in 2010 because I didn't know it was there, and then it was.
For a spider?
What?
Yeah.
No, you didn't know
Did
that
you
the
get it?
wall was there?
No.
You missed it? Fuck.
If I didn't know the wall was there, I would have been on some
Did it-
way harder things than the alcohol that I was.
Did the arrow go through?
It actually ended up hitting one of the supports, so I got lucky enough not to have it through and through.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I have a
Um,
stud finder and like experience and can hardly do that.
The experience thing helps. So, like, I mean, I guess I might have guessed in that reflex, but probably not. I was way too hammered and had been showing somebody the bow. I was like, yeah, like, we can go out and shoot it. And I was going back up and just happened to have it. And I remember holding it to open the door to make sure my cat didn't try and, like, run by me to get to the party. So all the doors were open. And I looked up, and as I entered the room, it was like 1.5 feet distance and then a curve to go into the room. And it was just right there. Probably about the size of a baseball. I was just like, nope. Drunk me didn't give a shit.
I think the worst spider incident I had was when I closed the mirror on the bathroom mirror, and it was on the wall behind me. Holy fuck. I walked in, I started washing my hands, I looked up, and the mirror was open. I was like, why the fuck is kids can't close it? And I just shut it, and I looked up, and I was like, huh, shit.
I think Jeff Daniels actually did a movie about that.
Oh,
Arachnophobia.
Was that Jeff Daniels?
Yeah.
Holy
Jeff
shit,
Daniels.
that was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Jeff
I'm going to
Daniels and
change the
John
topic
Goodman.
here for a second
Do
because
it.
I actually brought something
Throw it down. What you got?
for this podcast because
What
we're
you got?
going on about scary shit.
Yeah.
I am not going to claim ownership of this material. There was a performer in our community who passed away this year.
Yeah.
And she was kind of our ooky, creepy force.
Right.
And she did a series on her social media, on her Facebook page, called Gainesville Gothic. Like, she just got on a tear and started talking about all the things that happen in Gainesville that are weird. Like, you think you see it, but it's not. It's kind of there, but it's kind of not. And she did 10 of them, and I actually screenshotted them from her Facebook page.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to bring them tonight, because they really hit. Like, if you're from Gainesville,
All right.
they're going to hit a certain kind of way and go, oh, shit.
Where is this found at?
It's on her personal Facebook page.
Oh,
So if
okay.
you're not
Okay.
friends with her on Facebook, it's kind of difficult to find it. But
If you are, you definitely already know who we're talking about.
yes, if you
That's
are
an easy
listening to this
kicker.
podcast and you know what I'm talking about, rest in power. She was an incredible person, and meant a lot to us.
Yeah.
And her performer name was Formaldehyde Flower. Formaldehyde Flower. And she, like I said, she was a force.
Yeah.
Known for doing all the creepy, weird shit before he and I even got here. So she
cool.
was that person. So there's 10 of these. So just be
Lay it
patient.
out there.
Okay.
Go for it.
So
Go
here's
for it.
Gainesville. This is off her page. Gainesville Gothic 1. Medical care facilities are everywhere. They appear overnight. There's one in the mall. You don't know anyone who can afford to go to the doctor.
True. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 2. Campus expands almost imperceptibly every year. The speed limit on Archer is now 20 miles an hour. You do
Is it
not
really?
remember it being otherwise.
Is it? I haven't been to Archer Road.
It keeps
I don't
spreading
fucking know
down
how
every
long.
time
Yeah.
the UF expands. They get to drop the speed limit on campus down to, I think it's like 30 or 35 at the lowest. So if you're directly connected to campus, it's typically 35 miles an hour.
So wait, Archer Road is now part of UF?
It's getting closer to it.
Yes.
They're just slowly creeping down.
Yep.
Man.
Okay. Number 3. The parking meters downtown take change. All you have are arcade bar tokens. No one has actually physically seen a quarter since 2014. See, y'all just going, wait a minute.
I have been to that barcade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4. You give now. If you know who this person is that she's talking, Formaldehyde's talking about in her post.
Huh?
This is also kind of sad because this person also passed away last year or this year. You give Granny $1. She was here before you. She will be here after you're gone. The tithe is paid. You hope to be spared.
Granny.
Granny
Tell me who Granny is.
Granny was a very well-known figure to anybody who worked or partied downtown in Gainesville. Not Midtown, which is like the part near the college, but downtown Gainesville.
Right.
Granny was a homeless woman who was homeless for, 20, 30 years or something. And she used to tell everybody she saw that she loved them.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Second
remember.
Yeah, you know who Granny
yes,
is? Yeah.
yes, yeah. It
Yeah.
was like what 6, 8. God, time runs together. these
Yeah,
days.
I mean, it's
it
just
was like
it's the March 167th. It's totally fine.
Yep.
Okay, Gainesville Gothic number 5. They say the students are back. Did they ever leave? You've seen the exact same 5 blonde students for 8 consecutive years. They are always freshmen.
I actually, I had somebody. It was a young blonde woman jumped inside of my vehicle late night,
Perfect.
just drunk.
Thought you were
We were me and some friends. We were. It was my band. We were down that way, and a random girl just jumped right in there. I was like, "You're only gonna find shit like this in Gainesville."
I mean, that's
College
why
towns.
that's why she created
That's
the
it.
series, because it was just late night musings, and she was just that kind of person. Okay, number 6. It is after midnight. You look down. The craft beer you were just holding is somehow a PBR. You keep drinking.
Sounds like somebody was in 1984,
I mean,
1982. Shit,
I was like, get it right.
yeah,
boy.
1982.
1982.
I played that place once.
All right,
It was terrible.
number 7. Sometimes the old timers talk, mumbling the names of the forgotten: Food Lion, Albertsons, Winn-Dixie. Quietly,
Gash and Gary.
right? Quietly, bitch. Quietly, soothingly, Publix whispers, pouring comfort into your mind. There was only ever Publix.
It seems
You
that
crave
way.
a sub.
And what the fuck's up? 2 Publix, Butler Plaza. What's up with that?
Oh, with the COVID
Well,
diagnosis?
no, there was
no,
no,
no.
like
so the fact that there's
there
two
used to be the
Publix.
Albertsons,
Yes.
Mhm.
and then Publix was already there,
Yes.
and then like a block over, Albertsons sold to Publix, and
Correct.
they put another Publix.
Publix.
Yeah.
That's like that's what happens. That phenomenon. I'm not sure what that's called, but that
It's like
phenomenon.
they Publixed themselves.
That also, believe it or not, happens with Starbucks. Sometimes you'll see like a Starbucks on one corner, and across the street there's a Starbucks, and then 2 blocks up there's a Starbucks. Like, I'm like, are they multiplying? Like, what the fuck are you doing? That in the CVS Walgreens.
Yeah.
Dynamic.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like if a
That's the
CVS
stuff of
if
legend.
if the CVS
Yeah.
is on one corner, goddamn Walgreens is going to be across
They're
the
gonna
street.
figure it out
Yep.
one way or another. Hell
I'm
or high
convinced
water.
they're owned by the same people.
It would not surprise me.
I mean, why the fuck not? Okay, so Gainesville Gothic number 8. You take a walk on one of the trails, making eye contact with an alligator. You regard each other warily. The truce still holds.
Yep.
Yeah.
True story. True story.
All right, Gainesville Gothic 9. Everyone is excited for autumn. They can't wait. It's their favorite season. Gainesville has never experienced an autumn. Y'all get the kind of a
The-
picture
the
of what
one-week
kind of woman
transition.
she was?
Yeah.
She's amazing. Okay, and
That's coming from a guy from like Wisconsin, like where I see 4 seasons.
I've actually seen. I used to live in
I see 2 seasons
Yeah.
in Florida. It's either as hot as fuck
or
or it's just cold as fuck.
I spent the first.
Well, I wouldn't
I'm
say
curious
cold
when
as
you get
fuck. I lived in
cold.
Pennsylvania. Okay, this
he
is not
doesn't.
cold as
He
fuck.
doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
Middle of winter, he shows up wearing the same goddamn thing he's wearing now.
All right.
Oh, no, I
here-
just mean the cold weather. Shit. I want to know where that is.
okay. Here's the last one.
This is my warm weather clothing
Yeah.
right now.
All right. So here's the last one. This literally is the one that's going to hit the most. Number 10. Your friend is moving away. There's a party about it. Everyone is stoic. They'll be back, you say in unison. They always come back.
6 months later, there's a return.
I mean, the sequel comes back, right? Like,
So I'm gonna tell you a funny story about that.
oh Lord, make me laugh.
2000.
Make me laugh, funny man.
2001, 2002, somewhere in there. I started this band with my friend Joe and Luke and Jeremy, called Hollow Days. We played, here in town quite a bit, and after a few months, it was going in a direction I really wasn't vibing. So I ended up leaving, and the band split up. About a year later, after a few months of trying to convince my buddy Joe, who's a guitar player, that, I think we should get back together. He had moved on, was doing a different band. But then graduation came, and my roommate graduated, and he decided he's going to move back down south to Fort Myers, which is where we all went to school together. And so I said, well, fuck it. I got nothing going on here. I might as well go back to Fort Myers as well. So we packed up my truck, and we had a badass party last night.
As you do.
The last night. It was 2-car garage, carport. We set up the bands. We had 3 or 4 bands play.
Gainesville House Party, sponsored by PBR and Solo
absolutely. Cups. Kegs out. Of course, the typical party. It was a blast. And we played every song we'd ever written. Probably played for like an hour and a half, and just had a blast. The next morning, my phone rings, and it's Joe. And Joe says, "Hey, man, that was a blast last night." I said, "Yeah, it was, dude. It was really good to get up there and do it one last time." And he says, "Well, talking to Luke, drummer, he says, we'd like to pick it back up and get back to business on it." Joe, I'm moving, like today. My truck's packed. I'm leaving town. So you in? Fuck yeah, I'm in. Let me let me go to Fort Myers. I'll drop Sean off. I'll turn around. I'll be back tomorrow. Yep. Fucking A, and then we'll have band practice. And that's exactly what happened.
Welcome to Gainesville, the security blanket of Florida.
Turned around, went back to Fort Myers, came back the next day, found a new bass player.
Yeah.
The very next day, and 6 months later, called my wife on the phone, asked her on a date, and I never had another thought about leaving. That was it. So yeah, Gainesville has a way of just keeping us here.
It is literally the security blanket of fucking Florida. Like, you come here and you just exist, and then.
Well, the way that I met Nick.
Well, you came with. Well, tell them about how you ended up in Gainesville.
Well, I ended up in Gainesville because my girlfriend Courtney, she got her master's degree in Virginia at Virginia Tech, and then she got into a PhD program down here at UF. And so I ended up getting a job working with Nick. Nick was actually my manager, supervisor.
He loves telling people that. I don't know why.
It's just the truth. It's just the truth. But so I'm sitting there at work. I'd only been there for a couple of days, and Nick is just like, "Hey man, like, what kind of music you like to listen to?" I was like, I don't know, just like hard rock, like Metallica, Godsmack, stuff like that.
And as a performer, I'm like, oh, we share similar interests. Get your ass out to my show.
And so
that's what you do.
That's exactly what he did. He told me, it's like, well, I got a show this Saturday. You should come out. And I was like,
but that was it. And
okay.
And I remember though when you moved here, you were like, oh yeah, we're gonna be here for a few years, and and that was like 8 years ago.
I think it was like 10.
So clearly, formaldehyde flowers predictions come true.
She, like I said, she was a really amazing person, and when I started Purple Nightshade. It actually took her a while to perform for us. Everyone was like, "Oh, Formaldehyde's gonna be all over us."
Yeah.
And Formaldehyde, had been doing it for about 5 or 6 years. So, I was actually pretty nervous about asking her to come and perform for us. I was like, I don't want to suck in front of her because she's
a legend.
In her way, she just kind of like set the standard for this is what creepy beautiful looks like, and that's pretty much what she sold, and sold it amazingly well. So when I knew we were going to come on the show, and I'm like, I really should go find when she started talking about Gainesville Gothic, because it struck a chord in me that especially small southern towns, we got some weird ass shit that happens here.
And I think because it's a college town,
and people
are
convinced that whatever shit didn't happen happened, and they have all these details, and it becomes this mythos.
Are we talking about Florida Man?
We're talking about Gainesville, the legend of Gainesville.
Listen, Gainesville has its own version of Florida Man. I am so sure
that it does.
And just stories, and I even told Freddy at one point. I said, "Listen, I'm going to do a Gainesville Gothic show. You watch. I'm going to do some weird, fucked up shit about Gainesville, and everyone's either going to love it or go, 'Hey, man, why would you say that? Like, what's wrong with you?'"
So why horror? Like, what about horror and burlesque? When you started doing this, why put those two together?
I've always been a horror fan. Yeah. Like, I love being scared about, even though I'm terrified of roaches. I'm still like, who's scary?
Right.
I think a couple things. Number one, there isn't, at least when I did my research on did we have horror burlesque in Florida. Like, that was the first thing I did was, okay, how can I see if this is something that has been done? Usually it gets restricted to, of course, the high holy month of October. Like, we are weird from October 1st to October 31st, then we are weird nowhere else. Which I thought was bullshit. And after being such a fan of horror and being a fan of horror presentation, I guess, like when you go to, for example, there's a con in Florida called Spooky Empire, which is a big horror fan con where people like dress up and
where is that at?
It usually is in Orlando or Tampa. They vacillate between the two cities.
Because that sounds like something I would definitely want to go check out.
If you're a horror fan, you should do it at least once because it's amazing. Like last year, I took my burlesque, which is like my best friend in burlesque, who I also call my wife because we kind of grew up in the business together a little bit. And we look out for each other like nobody's business. Like nobody fucks with my wife. Like if you fuck with my wife, you gonna die.
How, in relation to the burlesque wife, what sort of relationship? Because you said earlier you also have a burlesque mother.
Yes. We borrowed that from the drag world a little bit, because in drag you have houses. Like this is the house mother, these are the children, this is whatever. So I kind of borrowed, and I'm friends with a lot of drag queens, so I kind of borrowed that iconic idea of having families within groups.
Right.
She is my wife in the sense that I would lay in the road for her.
Sure.
Like she is my best friend in the business. She has gotten my back more times than you would probably know about. And we met at a time where we were both unsure about what the fuck we were doing.
Right.
And so once we realized this is what we want to do, we kind of latched onto each other as friends and then just kind of grew from there. I forgot where I was going with this because you got me talking about my best friend. I'm like, I love her so much.
Well, we were talking about incorporating horror in burlesque.
Okay, so I just pretty much I kind of said, okay, how can I do this?
Yeah.
How can I sell this at a time when it's not usually sellable, like April?
Right.
Like, how are you going to sell horror in April? How are you going to sell horror in, like, February, or Christmas, or whatever? So I did my research. I talked to two very powerful is kind of the wrong word. I think esteemed is a better word for these two individuals who are icons in the burlesque world of Florida. One of them's name is Frankie Markstone, and the other one is Vita Devoid. And Vita Devoid now lives in California, but she and Frankie spent a good 15, 20 years reworking burlesque in Florida to be profitable and to be sane. Because at the time that they stepped into it, it was chaos. But they also both do horror stuff. Like they do creepy, weirdo, horror burlesque, as well as, Rhinestone Shiny, Dita Fonteese kind of whatever.
Right.
So I sat down with the both of them, being a noob, and going, tell me about horror burlesque in Florida. And they both gave me a fountain of information.
So it was already a thing, though, that people do.
It was a thing that people did, but it wasn't a collective.
Right.
It wasn't like all year long.
Yeah.
Like people reserved their scary shit for October because that's what sold in October.
Right.
Yeah.
Quotes around it, and I was like, "Nah, fuck that. I want to do it in February.
We
I
did a
want to do it
scary episode in October.
Yeah. So I mean,
it was the trope of October, or like, oh, this big horror movie is coming out,
Yeah.
so we'll put in like that act because people will see it on the poster,
yeah,
or whatever.
And so So I thought, how can I do this year round and make it work? And so I sat down at the time with some friends of mine, not my best friend, but some other friends that were in the business at the time. And I said, what do you think if I did this? What if I combined burlesque with horror imagery and we did this weird shit? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. Now, we were like 3 bottles of champagne deep into brunch.
That's the best time.
It's
the best time.
Do it! We want to see blood and brains and weird shit and aliens and blah. Like, they were just like, yes! So then when I sobered up the next day, drinking a lot of coffee, going, what did I just do? Exactly. So I sat down with some producers and said, I've worked in shows.
Yeah.
And I've worked backstage and I've worked on stage. How does this get done?
Right.
And so after mining information, I did my very first show out of a theater here in Gainesville because I knew the people that owned the theater. And I said, can you give me a weekend? This is what I want to do. And they're like, yes, do it. And I said, can we have blood? And they're like, as long as you clean it up, we don't care.
Is the theater still around?
Yes, they are.
They're
still here.
You can shout them out if you want to.
Oh yeah, it's the Crosstown Repertory Theater.
Oh yeah, Crosstown. I've been there.
Yeah. They host it. They hosted my very first show.
Awesome.
And
that's a cool little spot too.
Yeah, it can be.
I saw Cabaret there.
Oh, nice.
Years ago.
Nice. Yeah, so I did the things, and I poured a lot of my own money into it because nobody knew who the fuck I was. So I poured a lot of my own money into it, and we had a great show, and people showed up.
Yeah.
Like, people showed up.
That was another thing I was very surprised about when I started the podcast, going out and looking for unique people that are doing different things, to come on and talk to them about. I happened upon the comedy scene, which is how I met, Phoenix and Biddle. And I was shocked.
David Battle.
Biddle.
Brandon Dukes Green said anytime you say David Battle, he's going to charge you.
All right.
I'm gonna tell him.
He said he's coming for you.
I'm gonna rat you out.
Do it.
I'm so ratting you out to Brandon.
So I was shocked. I had no idea that and I had played these places that these comedy things were happening.
Right.
With my band and everything.
Right.
And never knew that there was a comedy scene like that. And then I go out and the first time I went, it was a packed house at the High Dive.
Sure.
And I was like, holy shit. This is legit, you know? So, and I've seen a lot of really good and had a lot of great comedians that have come on the show since, but I was just really surprised by it. So,
well, let me tell you something. Our burlesque scene here in Gainesville is the hoppin'.
Really?
What I tell people about Gainesville, strictly Gainesville burlesque, is that we are literally the buffet. Like, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
Somebody probably has that shit.
Well, Phoenix was talking about nerdlesque.
Nerdlesque is when you take a popular storyline or character or something and you turn it into a strippable performance. For example, are you familiar with the movie The Incredibles?
Yes.
I'd have an Edna Mode act. Full on, like with the glasses and the little page bob and the dress and the whole nine. And I strip out of the black from the first one. She has that kind of tiered dress with the funky arms.
Loosely familiar with it.
Okay.
Very loosely.
She's the fashion designer for the superheroes in the story.
Okay.
But she has a very particular way of talking and a very particular way of acting, and I really liked it. So I did this whole routine as her.
Let's hear a little bit of your because I know Edna. I
What's
know
that? Who are you? Why don't you go check the electric fence or something? I'm like, who is that? I said, oh my gosh, you've gotten fat. Just come, darling.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, that's totally it.
Nailed it? Give her a nailed it.
No capes. No capes. I actually say no capes in the act, too. There's a whole moment where I'm like, no capes.
No capes.
No capes. But I take off the black dress that she wears in the first movie, and I have an Incredibles suit on.
Right.
With a cape.
Yeah.
And then I do this whole routine, and then when I realize the cape is getting in my way, I rip it off and I say, no capes, like really loudly, and slap it to the floor and then continue. But it's the idea of taking characters like that people have seen before or are familiar with, and turning them into a bawdy, funny, strippable act. You know, I have an act to Stranger Things.
No shit.
Yeah, I have a Demogorgon act with like the full head and the pedals.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And you make that shit, or
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
that's got it. Like, how is that for you? When she's like, I'm gonna be a fucking Demogorgon.
The first thought in my head is, okay, cool. So utilities are on me, and gas.
Looks like I'll be hitting some overtime.
I don't get the overtime, but it's definitely like, wait a minute. Okay, we have how many Goodwills between here and Fort Lauderdale?
What do you make like a Demogorgon head? Like, what do you make that out of?
It depends on how you're gonna wear it. The traditional way of wearing it is so that the little mouth is your face,
right?
And then you have the petals. Right now the way I wear it is like a collar, like it comes up behind my head, and the other petals come this in front of me, kind of stick out.
And I would imagine, I mean, it doesn't have to be a perfect science too. It's just got to be like a representation.
As long as you remind people of the character, they don't give a shit.
You just got to get them there in the neighborhood. They'll do the rest.
Yeah, the audience is just like, oh, and that also comes with storytelling. Like a lot of burlesque performers will tell a story with whatever routine they're trying to do, whether it is nerd or horror or what we call classic, which was high rhinestones and corsets and feathers and shit. And, it just depends on what kind of story you're trying to tell with the song and your body and that kind of stuff.
So
hold on. Like this, I think this is the most important question. Is when she actually puts on that costume, Freddy is like, are you turned on or are you terrified?
It really depends. I think the bigger point is the thought process for me, at least, of okay, how far do I have to go after she's done with the act before I can get mine? Because at some point I had to think, okay, that definitely cost way too much to just rip.
So do you want to nail that Demogorgon? A Demogorgon?
Demogorgon, yeah.
The Demogorgon actually has pretty nice tits when they're out. So
I was gonna say, and when it comes right down to it, it doesn't matter how gory or
so you still want to smash that.
Listen, you got some bomb-ass titties, it's going to happen.
There it is. There it is.
Boom.
So before we get too much further into anything,
into titties, is that where we're going?
We've got we're almost at the 2-hour mark.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all. This has been a fucking blast. And we definitely have to do it again, but before we get, because we still have time.
Right.
But I just want to make sure if there's anything specific that you want to talk about or address, bring up, anything like that we get that out there and have
Can I throw my nomination in for president? Since everybody and their fucking mothers
throw
seems
it
to
out
be doing that these days.
Throw it out there. Go for it.
Della-Kate 2021.
No.
No production too big.
I'm going to just put it out there. That stress ball? I also don't have a great gas mileage vehicle. Campaigning? Fuck no.
Yeah.
Actually, please go to our website, purplenightshadeproductions.com.
And we'll link to that in the show notes for sure, too.
Yeah, check it out. You can see all of the gory goodness. We are about to actually post up our next show. Are you
doing it online?
Yeah. What we did once the world basically close this door. It's why I make a joke that it's actually March 167th and not anything else.
God, yeah. It's terrible.
The burlesque world is it's a 50-50 deal. It's 50% of it is shit. Our venues are closing. Shit. Yeah. Our audience is disappearing. Shit. And then the other 50% is, okay, well, what can we do to remind people we're still here?
Right.
And to try to make some kind of living, because there are people who do this full time. Like, they literally perform full time. That is their job. So my hat's off to them. I'm like, hustle. Like, their side hustles are incredible with what they do to try and make sure they're okay. But yeah, so we decided to move all of our shows online. As of now. Now, if anything radically changes between now and October, which is our big month of we're gonna do like the best show ever.
Right.
Then we will, have a live show. But for right now, everything is online. There is a company based here in Florida with two performer friends of mine down south in the Tampa-St. Pete area called Burlesque Backstage. Shout out to burlesquebackstage.com, Maven Misbehavin' and Nathan Doherty. Bless y'all. They actually are hosting a lot of the shows online. So if you put together a show pre-recorded, and then they live stream it on the night that you want, and they sell tickets and the whole 9 yards. And the only way you get to see the show is if you buy a ticket.
But what's the vibe, though?
The vibe of an online show?
Because I'm a performer.
Yes.
You're a performer.
Yes.
You know as well as I do, it doesn't get fucking
spiders.
I thought there was something just crawling on my arm. I almost shit my pants.
I told you invite the creeps, and we just bring the shit with us. Like, we just roll up. Like, what's up? Here's a spider. Here's a snake.
I've played to plenty of empty houses.
Yes.
And it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks not performing to an audience.
I would never tell somebody.
How does that differ for you? Like, for when you're getting ready to perform and I got to perform this for the camera, but there's not going to be anybody there. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you get in the right frame of mind? Does it affect you differently? Like,
yeah, of course. I mean,
how's that go down?
Listen, there are a lot of performers who are not performing right now for that very reason.
Right.
They need the audience.
Across all industries.
Yeah, they need the audience feed.
Right.
To propel them forward or to make them amp up whatever they're doing.
I would 100% be one of those people.
I call it.
Says, no way, I'm not doing it.
I call it waiting for the stage or waiting for stages. Like, if you're one of these waiting for stages performers, no fault,
Yeah.
no blame, no shade, none of that stuff. Like, do what you need to do to survive right now and just like make it through the day. For me, I imagine the camera being the audience member I'm going to set my eyes on, because here's the thing. I wear glasses. You're looking at my glasses right now. When I perform, I don't wear them.
Right.
I don't wear contacts. I'm completely blind on stage. Yeah.
Bad?
Yeah, like pretty much I can see about 2 feet in front of me, and that's it. So wherever I'm going, I gotta like I gotta figure out who I'm looking at, and even if I don't look at a person, I look in a direction. Just a really quick funny aside: my guitar player Joe, blind as a bat without his glasses, but got to be the cool guitar player on stage, so he never wore his glasses. It wasn't until we were like in our late 30s and we did a show, and he had like LASIK or something like that, or contacts. He got contacts put in, I think. Whatever. It was like his first show that he'd ever played where he could actually see. He was amazed. He was like, "Holy shit!" I don't do contacts.
The crowd looks totally different. I
don't do contacts. I don't do none of that shit.
Yeah,
I'm old fashioned, like wear my glasses, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I what I do is I just focus at the camera, and all the faces I would make on stage, I make them at the camera. All the movements I do on stage, I make it toward the camera.
Right.
And I also figure out where the camera frame ends, like side to side.
Sure.
So that way I don't go off screen, or if I'm going to go down to the floor and do all kinds of whatever the fuck, then I make sure the camera angles down. Like, to me, it's the same idea.
Yeah.
But it's not the same.
Yeah.
So I understand. Not every performer is going to be up to that.
Do you walk away feeling like you did it, like you got your?
I don't feel the same rush. I don't feel the same rush. I'm going to be honest. I don't feel the same rush, but I do feel like I did something.
Mm-hmm.
And usually what happens with our live show coming up in August, there's actually a chat feed that goes next to the screen where the performers are. So the host will say some shit about whoever's saying woohoo and blah blah. For example, I also right now host a live show, an actual live streaming show, with another performer in town named Morgan LaRue. And because when I'm not being creepy weirdo, I'm being a host.
Same.
Different
kind of creepy weirdo.
Spiders and okay. But yeah, no, I'm hosting a show, and so that's usually like live, like it is live happening,
right?
In the moment. And what I do as a host, and what our host will do in August, is they will shout out people who throw up clapping emojis or say woohoo or put the fire, like just something to give the performer who just got off the stage.
Gives you something, yeah.
Oh, they heard that the people were like, yeah,
Yeah.
So
that's got to be the next thing. That's
live streaming.
They gotta figure that out, how they can
live streaming
incorporate
will
a crowd.
Yeah, live stream, like a lot of people who are doing it are doing it well.
Yeah.
Are now figuring out this is the next evolution.
Right.
Like once we open the world back up, whenever the fuck that is.
Jesus fucking Christ, I
can't. Don't even get me started.
Oh my
I cannot.
God, it's fucking soon.
But the point is this: is that once the stages, whatever they look like, come back, then if you can't make it to that show in that town because work, gas money, blur, etc., then you could pay for the live stream.
So this could be a permanent incorporation, is what
There's
you're thinking.
Good possibility.
That's a good idea.
There's a good possibility, and to me, it's another fucking ticket price. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, if you're going to pay $25 for a VIP seat in the front row or at the cocktail table with a free cocktail from the bar or whatever the fuck you're paying for, and then you pay like $15 to sit in general admission, you can pay fucking $10 to get that live stream.
Fuck yeah.
Then stay at home in your PJs and fucking drink out your whiskey bottle and wonder what happened to your life.
You're talking my language.
I mean,
look at you got me pegged.
Listen, I actually have watched a lot of live stream shows since the quarantine began, because once my friends started like putting them out, I've gotten to see shows in New Orleans, in Chicago, in New York, in California, like all these places I never get to go and see shows.
Yeah.
Because my people have decided to put on live stream shows. And the tipping is just electronic now instead of paper. So, we have electronic venues that we can, Cash App and Venmo and that kind of shit. So people can give us money. We're like, woohoo, we like that. Here's money.
I'll be honest, I'm very behind the times in that shit. I don't have Cash App or Venmo.
Oh, I understand. But what we have figured out is that if you tell people there are avenues to do these things. For example, we also have a PayPal.
Yeah.
So if people are used to PayPal for other things, they're like, if you want to tip the performers, you can just send the money to PayPal at the end of the show, or send it at intermission, or what the fuck ever. We try to treat it as much like a real show as we can.
Yeah.
So that way, the essence of it isn't lost.
Yep.
For example, when I host, I go over the rules.
Yeah.
The rules are just adjusted because they're not live now. For example, I don't say don't touch the performers. I say don't record this show on your phone.
Yeah.
Your friends didn't pay to get in here and see this magic, so they don't get to see it, afterwards.
Right.
Don't do that. Don't be that dick.
Right.
That kind of stuff. So we adjusted the rules for live streaming shows. There was a show in Jacksonville, I think 2 years ago, was Fauna Show. There's a performer in Jacksonville called Fauna Faye, and they did a show live at a bar and then live streamed it at the same time. That worked like gangbusters because I actually couldn't go to that show because I think I was working, and I bought a ticket to watch the live stream. And so at the time, her spouse had the camera in the back, like a nice camera, to film the show while it was happening. And the host would not only talk to the live audience, but also be like, hey, you guys on the camera, this is what's coming up next. What's up? Blah, 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 blah.
Nice.
Make sure you tip your performers. Da, da, da. And so there was literally a website that we could watch the show online and also tip and do all the things. And
That's
woohoo. And so we had a chat going with woo, throwing up heart emojis.
I could definitely see that being incorporated in the future.
It worked like gangbusters. There were there was probably about 50 to 75 of us watching the live stream.
Yeah.
And then there was 100 and plus in the damn bar. So she made stupid money.
That's awesome.
From the door, from tipping.
Some stupid
money.
But I think once people realize
stupid money.
Once they realize they can do that, I think a lot of people will.
I'm getting a lot of good feedback from the live stream show that I'm doing with Morgan, because we only have 5 performers, so we try to keep it really small.
Right.
Because a bigger show with a lot of performers doing it live is a little tricky.
Oh.
And I've seen that done. I've seen it done on Zoom.
Oh yeah, I'm
That's
sure.
the other thing. Some of the platforms people are using to live stream these shows, I'm like, why are you doing that? Don't you realize what the fuck? Why are you going on fucking Facebook and fucking broadcasting a fucking show that will shut you down after 30 seconds of A, copyrighted music, or B, the first skin they see?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Damn.
yeah. If you stream on YouTube, the same thing. They will shut that live. That ASCAP will get on that. Because I'm like, listen.
ASCAP fucking sucks.
Oh no, they can suck a dick. But
those guys suck.
I explained it to producers.
And the people that enforce them suck.
Suck ass. But here's what I tell people who attempt to stream shows on Facebook, Instagram, all the usual platforms, because those are free. I say, listen, understand something, that 90.99999% of the goddamn world is online right now. So you know what? The people from ASCAP and the people, the censors, and what the fuck else have they got to do right now?
Yeah,
not
true.
shit.
Bastards.
So guess what they're going to be doing? Looking for your shit.
Fucking with people.
Yep.
Yeah. You showed an ass cheek, gone. You seriously, you showed whatever. There's stuff that gets banned on Facebook that I'm like, why is this a problem? Y'all fucking suck. So they got nothing better to do.
That's it.
So
it.
I was lucky enough to find a platform to host this live show that we could because I asked the people who ran it. I said, what is your policy on music? What is your policy on skin?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we don't really patrol for that because we're not YouTube. We are a service. So therefore, whatever you broadcast is your responsibility, blah, blah, blah.
There you go.
So literally don't ask, don't tell. So I was like, bonus.
Yep.
Done. So we did it, and it was great. And so with Burlesque Backstage, which is another entity that's, like I said, that was helping us with our August show.
Right.
That's going to be pre-recorded, but they have their own website. So again, gives a fuck about music, gives a fuck about skin. It's their own private website. They can do whatever the fuck they want, as long as they're not killing puppies or something. So Yeah, so that's that's pretty much how we're handling it, and we do okay. Like
Good.
there are some
Good.
shows that are better than others. This next show we have coming up is gonna work. You know why? Because it's called In the Zone, an alternate reality burlesque show, and it's all based on Twilight Zone, Black Mirror, and like all those alternate reality shows that are out there. Yeah, look at his face.
I'm picking up what you're putting down for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the acts, like everything is booked. Like right now, they're working on the promo shit that we're gonna start, promoting the show and get people to buy tickets.
And when is this going to be?
August 29th.
August 29th.
On burlesquebackstage.com.
burlesquebackstage.com.
The other amazing thing about burlesquebackstage.com is that once you have a show on there, they leave it up as a pay-per-view.
Nice.
Yeah, so if you miss the show, it'll stay on the website for X amount of time, and you pay this one price, and you get to download it and watch the whole show whenever the fuck you want.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and all the profit is split between whoever show it is and Burlesque Backstage.
So get out and do it. Get over there and watch this shit. That's what people need to do. burlesquebackstage.com.
Yeah,
we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Please.
And if you don't, then you're going to see my ass cheeks because I will upload that.
I'm not sure why. Burlesque Backstage. I'm writing this as we go.
Yes. So that's August 29th in the Zone. An alternate reality burlesque show will be happening via Purple Nightshade Productions.
And when you guys do that, make sure send me something. Let me know it's happening,
man.
and we'll get that out there. And because right now things have been good. I know we talked about that at the beginning.
Yeah.
We've seen a big uptick in followers. And we're back on hellfireradio.com. I don't know if you ever listen to Hellfire Radio. Great station, a lot of fucking metal, a lot of badass music. And they hit us up and said, "Hey, you want to throw your podcast on there?" I said, "Fuck yeah, why not?" And it's been great. So,
awesome.
No reason
people can get over to hellfireradio.com and buy a shirt for Kinko. Is there anything you guys want to say before we?
We got merch too. So if you
Purple Nightshade Productions.com,
if you would like one of these amazing T-shirts that I'm wearing.
Camp Slaughter.
Yeah, that was from our summer slaughter tour that we did last year.
Yeah.
So we have these shirts. We have altar candles that have our logo on them.
I like
and we have stickers.
Sweet.
And so I mean, we've got a few things here and there. Like I said, we're still kind of a baby company, so
sure.
we're getting there. But I brought this for you. You get a sticker.
Oh, that's amazing. Because that's going right there on the Porchville fridge.
Hell yeah.
And I've got some stickers to send y'all home with too.
Yeah, that's our official logo. That was drawn by a local artist out of Jacksonville. It's they're amazing. So
Matt, you got anything over there you want to say before we go?
He's too busy staring at the smiley face.
Yeah,
he was like, I don't know if I'm thinking about my ass hanging out or the smiley face on this woman.
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, like, I'm making sure that my ass isn't hanging out and kind of still intrigued about the smiley face.
Smiley face.
So trying not to make money and intrigued about a smiley face. That's terrible. Why would you not want to make money? What do you have against money?
You fucking commie.
Well, I don't know what's more important to me, money or smiley faces.
I mean, the faces that you make smiling as they throw money at you, it's all one big circle.
All right, I'll leave you with this. This will really make you. This is gonna make him fall out of his chair. Look at it this way. If it's a smiley face, he's gonna tickle the beard when he gets home.
PorchvillePod.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check us out. Della-Kate Flower, Freddy Vulgar. Purple Nightshade Productions.com. It's been a blast having you guys.
Thanks so much, man.
I really hope that you'll come back because this has been fun.
Yay!
Get over to burlesquebackstage.com and look for that show coming out August 29th. Beautiful. Fantastic. Matt, say bye to the people.
Thank you very much. You guys are awesome.
And give it up. Give some love to Matt's dad. Throw some positive energy for him. Going through some shit. Get over there to hellfireradio.com. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Take care of your mental health, bitches.